2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. We're going to be asking a simple question because it is undoubtedly making the news due to Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott's actions. And that is Governor Abbott recently told Tucker Carlson in an interview that in defense of his border, there's obviously a lot of immigrants coming across the southern border. Folks in Texas, folks on the Republican conservative side of the aisle, particularly, see what's happening as indeed an invasion. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott believes he is protecting his country or his state, protecting the state from a full-on invasion. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has told Tucker Carlson that he is prepared if President Biden federalizes the National Guard. Understand, every state has its own military force referred to as the National Guard, but in times of crisis, the president can federalize that group and use them for federal purposes, meaning that the Texas National Guard can be used under the orders of Biden. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has stated he's prepared for that and has what he refers to as reinforcements at the ready. Are we talking about a potential secession from the Union? Could it lead to something like that? If we're talking about the governor making it clear that he is prepared to have a military conflict with the president, that sounds like Texas could be going its separate direction. So we're going to ask the obvious question. If it really comes down to it, whereas Texas is doing what it takes to secure the border in its opinion, and Biden is doing what he thinks is right by the country, who do you stand with? Do you stand with Texas? Or do you stand with the United States? It could literally come down to that. Want to ask you folks that in the comments, and then we have a second topic. Trump obviously has suffered a tremendous loss in court. E. Jean Carroll, $83.3 million victory in a defamation suit. Did the courts overdo it? Do you think it was justified? Now, obviously, Trump is going to take the appeal route, potentially drag this on if possible. But understand, from what I have seen, there's a 20% bond required to file an appeal. You can't just file an appeal. You have to put a 20% bond. So in other words, you got to put down 20% of that bond, and they get to hold that. If he loses the appeal, that 20% goes to her immediately. That's 20% of $83.3 million. You do the math. I haven't. But that is a hell of a lot of money with an $83.3 million judgment. Do you think E. Jean Carroll will eventually get paid? Those are the two questions as always. This is and forever will remain a MAGA-friendly program. MAGA are my preferred guests. We're here on a Saturday because of all this new shit. Want to hear your opinions. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000. Look at his team was limited on their questions, says Cecil Grant. Limited how? I'm assuming you're talking about Trump's team. One of the problems was Trump was trying to go to court in the E. Jean Carroll case, blaming on Biden, a weaponized DOJ, and a bunch of other things that amounted to opinions with no proof. Take Trump out of the picture. No one gets to spout out a bunch of opinions in court. The judges don't let you waste their time with all of that. This is Biden doing this. This is the evil liberals. You don't get to do that in any court case. So the judge was basically trying to keep Trump on track, on subject, on topic. Trump wasn't having any of that. Well, here we are. So going straight to the box, do you stand with Texas 83.3 million coming from Trump. Is that legit? Is that an overkill? What say you? Going straight to the box will go straight to Cecil Grant. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. If it allows you, okay, Cecil. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
83.
I want to start off.
Go ahead.
I want to start off by saying I love your show.
Thank you.
I love that you can go on your show and just speak what's on your mind. You're the best show on TikTok. I just want you to know that. I watch you every day.
Do appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, the thing with the Trump trial, we can't have law and order if we can't hear from both sides.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
I mean, they limited his attorney's questions. You know, you had to give a list of questions. I mean, let's find the true justice here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the man is guilty, I'm a Trump supporter. But if the man is guilty, then he's guilty. You know,
well, let me interrupt you and ask you this though. I'm with you that you shouldn't limit his questions, but if he starts saying things like this is the Biden is doing this or so weaponized DOJ, do you let him go in directions that have nothing to do with the case?
Not at all. Not
okay.
At all. We've got enough of that going on in the world that's polluting everything, everything that's true and lawful in America. You know, if you're guilty, you're guilty. That's just, I mean, we're taught this as children. You know, you go out and do something wrong, there's a consequence. You know,
right?
And we've forgotten that in this world.
But hang on, are you suggesting they didn't let him ask enough questions in the case where they were trying to find out if he was civilly liable for rape or the defamation case? Remember, he lost 2 cases to her. Which one are you talking about?
I want to say both. I want to say both because we're obviously not hearing the whole story on both sides. You know, if a man goes out and commits rape, you need to be punished. There is no, you shouldn't be able to buy your way out.
Okay.
There shouldn't be just money involved. No, you need to be punished. And we need society to understand there's consequences for your actions. You know, it's, our big problem is money. Really. In America, it's money. You know, if you ain't got enough of it, no matter what happens in your life, you're going to get the shit end of the stick.
What questions do you believe he wanted to ask and was prevented from asking?
Well, the thing is, when they walked into court, if you listen to his attorneys, and again, we're only hearing what they want us to hear. So, but his attorneys, they're saying you have to ask these questions. If you're not going to ask these questions, then the jury can't hear them. You know, I mean, I listened to the news conference from his attorney, and that shouldn't be the way justice is. I mean, we shouldn't be in there saying Biden, 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 because Biden isn't part of that case.
Right.
Regardless what way we look at it, we need law and order. And if we can't get law and order and we're pointing fingers at everybody, our country's definitely...
Yeah, but I'm going back to... But going to the original question, what was he trying to ask that wasn't allowed to be asked?
I'm not totally sure, because I'm not the attorney. I'm going by what the attorney's statements are, that they were limited on questions that the jury could see. Obviously, we don't want to hear Biden, Biden, Biden. I want to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, but hang on a second. When you say we're going by what Trump's attorneys are going to say, as someone stated in the comments, an attorney is always going to say what's in the best interest of his client. I mean, even though his attorney may say questions were not allowed to be asked, you got folks who will stand right in front of a murderer and say my client is innocent. I mean, his attorneys could be lying.
Right. Absolutely, they're going to work for him in his best interest. But we shouldn't be, if there's anything pertaining to a case, it shouldn't be left out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And in the state of New York, you know, evil prevails. I'm a New Yorker. Evil prevails, you know. There's just so much disaster that goes on in New York, and it's the few that run it. You know, you look at our mayor. I mean, you look at Mayor Adams, right? Like, he was all for immigration until it backfired on him. And then when they started questioning him and his people, oh, wait a minute, Let's
But
stop
but
being
but is that not normal? When a good example, Trump was all for locking Hillary Clinton up without any due process or giving her a day in court. Now that people are threatening to do it to him, he's not for it. I mean, is that not the same thing?
It absolutely is the same thing.
Yeah.
And in that part there, you know what I mean? It's justice for all, you know.
Right.
Or
I could.
if you're guilty.
Yeah. Also, remember when Trump said if you plead the fifth, it means you got something to hide. It means you're working for the mafia. Then all of a sudden, when Trump and many folks that he support, who he's friends with or who he has on his team, were pleading the fifth, he suddenly was in favor of it.
Yep, I agree that it's, I mean, the fifth was used exactly what you just stated. It's used to hide and lie. I mean, we all, come on, I mean, we're pretty smart to know that.
Yeah.
You know? But I think there's just all the bullshit that surrounds his cases, right? Like, you know, civil cases that we're bringing into these big trials, or in New York, when they changed the laws right before they take you to court. I mean, it kind of looks, to the average Joe, it looks a little suspicious.
Well, yeah, but let me say this. We could talk about it looking suspicious where they changed the law to allow E. Jean Carroll to throw a 30-year-old rape charge back at Trump. We can actually work with that on, because I also am with you that after a certain period of time, it's hard to get a fair trial when somebody's bringing up something you did 30 years ago. However, E. Jean Carroll's biggest victory is on the defamation case. Now, are you suggesting that he didn't say anything wrong or defame this woman in any way?
No, I can't say that because he's got a loose mouth, man.
Yeah.
That, you know,
Yeah.
and that I think if he overcame that loose mouth, he might get more people that rally around him. I think that's our biggest thing. You know, people in power, we need to hold them accountable because they're actually representative of all of us.
Fair enough. I do got to move it on, but it looks like Trump is being held accountable to the tune of $83.3 million. Cecil, appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Looking in the comments, and that's what, for folks, I want to throw this out there, for folks who are fairly confident that Trump is going to file an appeal, understand, like my last guest does, that, yeah, Trump did defame the woman. How many of you think that Trump, between now and whenever this appeal comes up, is likely to insult her again? Because remember, if you're filing an appeal, you're trying to change the court's ruling. If you're doubling down on the insults, what's the purpose of filing the appeal? Think about that. For folks who think, well, they'll just file an appeal. You're not going to win an appeal if you're continuing to violate the reason you lost in the first place, which could also lead to E. Jean Carroll filing an additional defamation lawsuit. I don't know about you folks, but I don't think Trump has any chance in hell of winning an appeal with E. Jean Carroll. I think it's a waste of legal fees to even continue it. I mean, if anything, you may want to have the $83.3 million reduced. That may be possible. That's a ridiculous sum. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to pay. There's the idea that he didn't defame her is probably going to fall on deaf ears. Looking in the comments, someone says he can't shut up. Trump has dementia. He can't help himself anymore. I thought Biden was the one that allegedly had dementia. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 15,000, 400 plus of you in here. Let your thumbs not be lazy. I can't believe that you're still supporting Trump. Man, are you serious? That's how the program runs. It's not about supporting or not. It's about hearing your opinions. It's a money grab. I absolutely agree with that. But it's not like Trump didn't make it easy to grab the money. It's not like he didn't know he was being sued for defamation. He kept talking. But I do agree it was a money grab. Going back to the box, Noja. And by the way, even though it may be a money grab, Trump has put that woman's life in danger. What Trump is doing is dangerous to her life. Noja, good afternoon.
How you doing, sir? You
I'm doing very good. Doing very good. Good to have you on. 83.3 million. What say you?
Well, I put like this. Hey, they said crime pays, right?
But he didn't commit a crime. That's not criminal.
Well, what I'll say is this. You know, people forget that Trump had a rape case out here for years.
Yeah.
This is not nothing new. You know, this is like they just happened since he became president. No, that case has been out there for quite a long time, people. You know, it just wasn't brought up. You understand what I'm saying? And people who support him, they kind of want to forget that part. If you understand what I'm saying.
But with somebody like Trump, who is an incredibly successful businessman for most of our lives, infinite wealth, was frequenting the Playboy Mansion, had his wife is even a supermodel. Do you think he really needs to sexually assault someone? Do you think he really did it?
Let's just say when you're rich, you got money, they let you do just about anything, even ground by the pussy.
Yeah, and I'm just throwing it out there like that. It's not that wealthy people do not commit acts of sex. I mean, Bill O'Reilly too, but Bill Cosby, R. Kelly.
Right.
Yeah, so being wealthy doesn't exclude you from doing it. But I'm just looking at Trump and wondering, is he the type of guy that would really take away a woman's innocence? And you say you believe he would.
Well, I mean, it's like it's not like this the first time that he has been accused of something inappropriate.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's not the first time. We can pretend like it's his first time. People that don't want to know the truth. But at the end of the day, it's not like these are secrets that we don't have heard about for years. You know, before he even started even trying to run for president.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of that, when they were talking about, when the guy was talking about he wouldn't let him speak, well, he kept bringing up Biden. Biden has nothing to do with the case.
Yeah. That's kind of the angle I was taking as well, is that to political issues. I mean, you're right. I mean, Biden didn't have nothing to do with what E. Jean Carroll was pursuing. That is not a Biden versus Trump deal. But Trump, for his own personal agenda, has to make it look like the liberals are the ones attacking him, which is why when Mike Pence or Attorney General Barr or even McCarthy, these guys that are taking plea deals, they're all going to become liberal when Trump is criticizing them, because it's got to be me versus the liberals. But a lot of folks that are criticizing Trump, they're not liberals, they're Republicans.
Right. So all I can say is that, you know, I can't really say how unfair that $83 million is, because we wasn't in the room.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And sometimes it pays to just be quiet. Be quiet.
All right. Well, let me throw this other one at you before we move it on. Texas sounds like the governor of Texas, in regards to securing the border, sounds like he's really, Governor Abbott, like he's almost damn near willing to go to war with Biden, stating that he is prepared if Biden federalizes the National Guard, and says he has law enforcement and reinforcements ready to deal with it. What do you stand with Texas in these crazy, but sounds like wild decisions, or do you stand with Biden in the United States?
You gotta. I'm like this. You have to. Let me answer just like this. You ever seen the movie The Gladiator?
Yes.
All right. With Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And where the son Commodus early in the movie, he said, you know, my dad is gonna die. He said, would you serve me as you serve my father? And the guys Maximus said, I will always serve Rome.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But I think about it is, as an American, I'm going to stand with America. It's not got nothing to do with Biden. It has nothing to do with Texas. It's got to do with America. So my thing about this, we ready to run a coup if you make within your own country, due to the fact that there's a governor who thinks that he has more power than the United States president, because the president is the commander and chief who is control the entire control of the military.
Wow.
Right? People need to understand the law and how things work. You know, you can't choose something because he's got an R or a D in front of his name. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point.
So my answer to you, I'm gonna always stand with the United States because this is the country I live in. You know, I mean, what we're gonna do? Turn this into the 1800s and start another civil war?
That is what it sounded like. That is exactly. That's a good question to pose. It is sounding like pre-Civil War conversation. But Noja, I do got to move it on. But standing with the United States, there are folks that say the opposite though. But I do appreciate you coming through.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, brother. You have a blessed day.
Absolutely, you too. Looking in the comments, and I do see folks in the comments even said in the Civil War, Constitution gives states the right to protect themselves. To a point, the Constitution doesn't give you the right to go to war with the other members of the United States. Also, when you say the Constitution gives states the right to protect themselves, it doesn't give you the right to think you are protecting yourselves when the federal government is saying otherwise. I mean, shit, maybe there's a lot of black criminals out there, and the governor suddenly thinks we need to prevent more blacks from coming to the state. If the governor feels like that is a state emergency, the Constitution doesn't give him the right to act militarily on that. It's up to the federal government. It's up to the president. You can't just create your own emergency. That's where the debate is. Is it a genuine emergency at the border, or is it a fabrication out of dislike for immigrants? I don't know if Governor Abbott has the power to do what he's saying, but I do understand a hell of a lot of you are standing with Texas. Look at in the comments. Border states are, I'm losing my voice. Border states are overrun by feds when there are border issues. Overridden. Yeah, exactly. The international border is not Texas' responsibility. It really is not. The issue is the belief that the federal government at the international border is not doing their job. But it is not the state's responsibility. Going back to the box. Michael Gibson. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Do you stand with Texas, Mike?
I do stand with Texas, yeah.
So, up to the point of weaponizing against Biden's National Guard, is that like a pre-Civil War?
Well, I think it says that you're allowed to protect your state, I guess, against an invasion, and that's exactly what it is, I believe. People that live on the border.
What is your definition of an invasion?
Well, people coming onto your property, vandalizing your property, stealing, the possibility of getting raped by these people. Who knows what they're bringing from Mexico. And I think that's what the governor's trying to do, is protect his citizens. And I think he has the obligation to do that.
So generally, when I hear the term invasion, I think of Pearl Harbor, I think of Normandy, where people are literally trying to kill the invaders. Are you okay with shooting them?
Yeah, if they come onto my property, sure.
Well, the governor of Texas might see entering Texas as his property. Are you okay with folks climb the wall and enter Texas illegally, or if they go across the Rio Grande, are you okay with taking them out?
For one thing, I don't believe I believe that's the whole point, is he's trying to keep them from coming into Texas to where we can avoid going to war or civil war or
other people are dying. You know.
Yeah, but wait a minute. I don't think you quite answered the question, because I agree with you that he's trying to keep them from entering. But you and I both know no method is 100% effective. So I'm asking, if you catch one entering in the middle of the night and running across, are you okay with taking them out?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. If I feel threatened in any way, yeah. I can't begin to imagine what it would be like living on the border with all this influx of people coming in that you just don't know who they are. You know, I just have to kind of look at it as my backyard. You know, if I saw people coming over my fence, cutting, you know, whatever means necessary that I needed to put up for them not to get in, that would be a concern with me. I mean,
so what if it's now obviously we're probably referencing military-aged men, but what if you've seen a woman with a baby cutting the fence? You're okay with her being taken out too?
I would think that it would have to apply for anyone, you know, no matter what their gender is.
Yeah. Is that the norm? Is that the norm around the world, that if you enter a country illegally, you can be taken out? I mean, we have a lot of countries that have immigration issues. Is that the norm, or is that a bit harsh?
Yeah, I believe it is harsh, you know, and it's unfortunate that we're having to deal with this right now. And you know, I think maybe had the wall not been, you know, that executive order that had been served by Biden on his first day, where the wall was stopped, you know, that project was just stopped. Mm-hmm. Had it, you know, he let it continue and let the wall be completed, I don't think we would be talking about this today.
Well, I got to push back. Well, first of all, I'm ask you, I'll tell you right off the bat, most of these folks that are coming are walking up to federal agents and declaring asylum. So the wall's not going to stop that. Most of the people coming are not running across the river, as I described, or running through the desert. They're literally walking up to a federal agent and telling them, I want to declare asylum. So you can build a wall all you want. If that's the way they're getting in, they're just going to come to the entry points of the wall and do exactly what I stated. But in the comments, the guy you know stated, how can you be for it? And I'm talking about particularly folks on the right, which I'm going to assume you lean right politically. How can you be for taking out immigrants while claiming to be pro-life simultaneously?
That's not, I mean, I don't know, man. That's not my thinking on it, you know. I think, I'm just trying to think about the wall, you know. Hopefully we don't have to shoot people and kill people for that, you know, for coming into America or whatever. But I'm just thinking about, you know, the residents and stuff that live on the border in Texas, you know, wherever this is being affected, wherever this is affecting them, you know.
Yeah. Let me ask you. Let me.
I certainly don't.
Go ahead.
I certainly wouldn't agree that we need to like just kill people just because they come into America.
Well, wait a minute. If they are invaders, you're pointing out, you know, folks' property, folks being murdered. What did Trump say? Rapists and murderers. If they're doing that, normally the response would be to take out an invader. So I have to ask then, if you're hesitant in regards to taking folks out, or maybe you overstating it when you refer to them as invaders?
I have to see it as invaders because they're coming in illegally. Period. You know.
Okay.
But especially at such high numbers. You know, what was it, 300,000 last month or this month so far that's come across the border?
But that leads. But wait a minute. Let's go with what you're saying. 300,000, literally millions. Some say 6 million since Biden became president. If what you and the former president Trump is stating, rapists and murderers, you're talking about people's property, folks being raped and murdered. If they are that bad, shouldn't the border cities, where literally millions of people that are rapists and murderers, shouldn't the border towns be the most violent towns in this country? Why are we hearing about Chicago and New York and Los Angeles? It should be Laredo, Eagle Pass, El Paso. Why are those towns not more violent?
I can't speak for other towns, but I guess you're talking about the people where
I'm talking about I'm talking about 6 million rapists and murderers, terrorists, Chinese nationals that folks are saying that they're invaders coming through a few towns, and these towns are not even being mentioned among America's most violent cities. If that many rapists and murderers are coming through, these should be the most violent towns on earth, unless perhaps these are not rapists and murderers.
I don't think the majority of those are rapists and murderers. I think probably just a handful are.
Okay.
I can't say for sure, but just one coming across the border is too much for me.
All right.
When you hear about these on the news, these illegal immigrants coming in and committing crimes.
Just another. Thank you.
Families, citizens, American citizens. That bothers me. But it should be legal immigrants. Do it the right way, like everyone else does. Not my sister-in-law. She's a Vietnamese, and my brother, they've married, and she's a citizen now because she got married. But
wait, hold on, hang on a second. Now, wait, hold on a second. Before you go through the story, and I won't limit your time in any way, and by the way, just another with that Galaxy, absolute thank you, that did not go unnoticed. But what I want to say is this: when we talk about come legally, first, we have to point to the fact that Trump, when he was president, was making it harder to do that. So when you say don't come illegally, come legal, then don't mess with the ways of coming here legally. But also, you do realize it takes years and literally a ton of money from folks who come in from third world countries to do that. You do realize that's a hurdle that most of them they can't negotiate that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it takes thousands of dollars to become an American citizen. You have to take tests, and it takes time to get here. And I just to say, continue on with my story.
Sure.
Her cousin, my Vietnamese sister-in-law, her cousin wants to come here, but they're not citizens. They have to get a visa to come here, a temporary visa, and it would cost them like $50,000.
Wow.
To become citizens, and they have to go through the process, but hey, they could just go to the border and walk over and at this time and get here for nothing. So
let's do what you said. Close the border down, tell folks you can come, but come legally. So we catch somebody trying to plead asylum. No, you got to come legally. And you tell them your story. You can come, but it's going to take you a few years. It's going to cost you $50,000. If that person does not have the option of coming up with $50,000, what should they do in your opinion?
Stay home.
Right. So if they feel like the situation they're in at home is desperate, or perhaps their life is in danger, whereas they believe the cartel or somebody else is trying to take their life, what should they do? Should they just stay there and risk that?
I think there are some circumstances that probably would apply, but most of these people, they're coming from other countries, aren't even Mexico,
That is true.
And I think the way the asylum thing works is, you have to. It's the next country that you enter into that has to accept you as an asylum seeker, right? So
I think that's the way we want it to be. I don't think that's the way it works. I think that's the way we want it to be. But go ahead.
But I think that's in the policy. At least that's what I understand. And
yeah.
So hey, most of the people coming from Mexico are good people. They just want a good life.
Good. Good people. I thought they were invaders. I mean, your tune is changing. Good people don't invade countries.
I'm not saying that all of them are invaders.
Okay.
But some of them are, and like I said, we have to put ourselves in the position of the people that live on the border, live in Texas, and are having to deal with this, and always be on the lookout for their property and stuff getting stolen and that kind of thing. And I think if I was a homeowner living on Texas border and immigrants were coming across my land all the time, and had stuff stolen, trash being left on my property, I would have to feel like I would have to protect it in some way or another.
You protect your property from theft and litter with lethal force?
If I had to. Sure.
All right, Michael. Fair enough. Appreciate you coming on. You're always welcome here anytime.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. All right, look in the comments. That's strong. That is a strong opinion, but it's not unique. There's a hell of a lot of people that would support what my last guest suggested, protecting your property from theft or litter with lethal force. He's not the only one that feels that. And I saw the comments saying the same thing. In the comments, someone stated, that's very pro-life of you. Yikes. Now, I did hear a few other folks. And by the way, Michael Farms, appreciate that. Those lightning hands, I do appreciate you folks. I do try to remain focused with my guests, but absolutely, when I get I get a few trinkets here and there, I don't want to let that go unnoticed. So absolute thank you for that, Michael. And old girl with the rose, roses, plural. Look in the comments. The next country from Mexico is the United States. Well, the opinion is, and I actually do agree with this right-wing sentiment in regards to, you shouldn't be able to say you're living in desperation in Venezuela, Guatemala, or some other country and then go all the way through Mexico and ask to come in the United States. If your life was in danger in Guatemala, why didn't you stop in Mexico? I do believe that's a legitimate question to ask. You have escaped the nation you were in. You're in Mexico now, plead asylum. Ask to stay there. That's not a bad thing to pose. Zion, yeah! Appreciate the hat and mustache. So I do, in Big Rooster with the super chat, Big Rooster on YouTube. He's been with too much Fox News. Well, listen, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Big Rooster, absolutely, thank you there. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Both sides, news media promotes an agenda, such as what my last guest was saying. And I'll go right back to the box after this spiel. My last guest was pointing out an invasion. That's a common sentiment from everyone on the right, from Tucker Carlson, Trump, you name it. They all see it as an invasion. Trump stated they're not sending us their best and brightest, they're sending us their rapists and murderers. But then when I posed the question, if we've had 6 million immigrants come into this country during the Biden administration, and they're invaders, they're not sending us their best and brightest, they're rapists and murder, then why do those border towns not have Beirut-like violence and crime? That should be the most violent parts of this country. Laredo, Eagle Pass, McAllen, El Paso, those should be the most violent towns in this country. If 6 million rapists and murderers are coming through that point. The fact that those towns are not even mentioned among conversations of the most violent cities in America should be telling in regards to how truly bad these people are. They don't seem to be committing much rapes and murderers on their way in. Can we not bring that up? Does it not make any sense at all? Looking in the box. And that's not to say they're all innocent, but they certainly seem like they're being portrayed as considerably more violent than they really are. Just another number. Love the name. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. If TikTok allows that, the box can be kind of slow. They are getting bussed elsewhere to commit it. Now, the border problem existed long before Governor Abbott started busting people up north. You can go back 15 years and there were people coming across the border in high numbers. Just another good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. So what do you think? Do you stand with Texas being willing to push back against? The floor is yours.
I do. The reason being is because Biden has already broken the law himself by allowing these open borders. He's supposed to protect our borders.
What?
So he's the one that broke the law.
Well, let me say this, because this is a term you hear generally when you have a liberal commander in chief, even under Obama, who allegedly, separated kids in cages, separated kids and families, and they called him the deporter in chief. Anytime you hear a liberal president, we hear the term open borders. Ginger, thank you. Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you, Ginger. So yeah, damn right, that was nice. I had to point that out, but. When you say open borders, this comes up any time a liberal is in office. Do you really believe right now that if you were in Tijuana or you were in Ciudad Juarez, you could just walk into the United States unopposed?
Well, where are they getting those from? That they're showing where these people that are crossing the border like the way they are.
I see it on right-wing media on Fox and things. I honestly don't know where they're getting those shots. I don't know if those are valid or not.
Okay, so let's just say they are. Okay.
Okay.
Now, okay, and why would this big thing with Abbott be going on if they weren't?
Well, for the same reason. Here's why that big thing would be going on with Abbott if they weren't. If I can convince people that they're rapists and murderers, I'd be okay with them being shot too. It's because of the language being used. I would ask Governor Abbott the same question I asked you, or particularly my last caller. Why is there not a hell of a lot? Your state with 6 million, your state should be the most violent state in the union. Why is it not if you're being invaded with so many rapists and murderers?
Well, because remember, we covered that the last time when we spoke. It's not that they're all, it's just that the higher percentage of the people that cross the border like that are on Mexico or have criminal records. So that's what he meant by that as far as them sending those people over here because they can't cross legally. And then you got the poor people as well that are trying to come over here because they don't have the 50 grand or whatever it is to become legal citizens the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but let's take what you're saying. It's not all of them. It's just a majority, or it's just a percent. 6 million. Let's say it was even 2 million of them were rapists and murderers. Why is your country? You just had 2 million rapists and murderers come in during Biden's administration, only 3 years. Why is your state not the most violent state in the union?
Because when you first come over here, you're also going to come and try to make a new slate. Also, you're not going to immediately just start committing crime or anything like that. And at the same time, he's just talking about their records. He's not saying necessarily that they're going to continue that as they come over here, but they do have that record in Mexico. You understand what I'm saying?
So he's saying they have a violent record in Mexico, but when they come to the United States, they're going to suddenly get their lives straightened and not do it again?
Well, wouldn't you try to do that? If you did something wrong and you were, conscious about it, and you're coming into another country, aren't you going to try to change your life?
That ain't but that's a good point you're making. But that's not the picture being portrayed by people on the right. They're making it sound like they're invaders coming here to do harm.
You're absolutely right, and I'm not saying you're absolutely right. But see, that's maybe not even that either. It's just the media repeating it over and over and over and over again. Wait. With the media and us.
Now let me make it clear. Now when you say it's not the people, it's the media repeating it over and over again. Let me make it clear, because we often talk about the mainstream media. What you're talking about is right-wing media that is making it sound like these. No, you're not hearing rapists and murderers over and over again on CNN. That's not happening. MSNBC is not doing that.
I'm not saying about that particular subject. I'm just saying in general. You know what I mean? In general, whatever they want to pump into your heads, they're going to repeat it over and over on both sides, whatever the case may be.
Okay.
I'm not just talking about that.
All right, well then let me make sure I get clarity. What media is portraying these people over and over again as invaders coming to do harm and rapists and murderers?
No, I agree. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm just speaking in general. You know what I mean? The psychological warfare that they play with us, or that they have on us, with the media. You know, and like getting back to that Trump thing. See, it's not what Trump has done. See, what it is right now, it's the system or the establishment that's against Trump. It's not just these little individual fires that, Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that. See, everybody, it's the establishment that's trying to attack him because they don't want the change. Just like what they did to JFK. They assassinated him. Why? Because he was trying to change and expose the establishment for what they were.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. I swear this is not off topic. It's totally related. If immigrants came to this country and they all got jobs and obeyed the law, do you think they would be drawing so much attention?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
If immigrants came in this country and they all became productive citizens, you know, got a job, did not get in trouble with the law or anything, do you think they would be drawing, you think they would still have so much negative attention orbiting around them?
Probably so, because everybody's going to find something to complain about at one point or another to drive us into what they want to drive us into as far as the establishment goes. You know, I'm not talking about just a certain party or anything like that. I'm talking about the people that are really in charge.
But why would you have a problem with somebody that's coming, they have a job, they're not committing any crimes, they're taxpayer? Is that racism?
They judge to divide us. They judge to divide us. You know, because if we unite together, they won't be able to do what they're doing to us.
Okay.
Right now they have us enslaved and into our material possessions. You know what I mean?
Right.
They have us enslaved and too busy to protect our stuff instead of protecting each other.
But I'm curious, if they're not doing anything wrong and you still have a negative opinion of them, is that possibly racism?
It's not so much racism, but yes, it is. It is a potential. Everybody has their own different reason. See, the way I would look at it is that they're going to be saturating the work environment or the workplace. You know, there's going to be too many people,
I get it.
not enough jobs.
I don't disagree.
You know what I mean? It's going to be totally saturated. That's what it's not so much a racism thing, you know, it's that. You know, you were talking about them shooting people at the border if they're crossing when they're not supposed to. They do that Area 51.
What? Wait a minute. You said Area 51. Area 51 is a sensitive area that has a ton of confidential shit. That's different than entering San Antonio.
No. But I mean, in the same sense of where, okay, let's just talk about non countries that are not of immigrants. Okay, they do it there.
No.
If you try to cross their border, they're going to shoot you.
I would dare say, other than maybe Israel, who has an enemy to its border, or, you know, some third world countries like North Korea, or, you know, dictatorships like China and Russia, most first world countries have a immigration problem, and they don't shoot the people that come without actual permission. I mean, when I lived in Australia, for instance, I immigrated and I did it the right way, but they certainly had a problem with folks coming from Papua New Guinea and some of the Pacific Islands. They weren't shooting the people. I don't think I ever even heard it suggested when I lived in Australia. And they had any first world country has an immigration problem. The only difference with America is we have this long ass border that you can actually walk across, which a lot of other countries don't have. But I don't think there's any country, like when Greece started having a failed economy, people were leaving Greece and going into other countries that border Greece. They weren't talking about shooting them. I mean, is that insensitive?
What I'm saying is that the countries that are not of immigrants, China's not a country of immigrants. Russia's not a country of immigrants. There's countries that are not of immigrants. Like
okay.
We are a country of immigrants.
Yeah, because we
they'll give you warning. They're gonna warn you. They're just not gonna shoot you. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's what they're gonna do here. They're not just gonna shoot the person. I'm sure they're gonna say, "Hey, stop," or "We're gonna shoot you."
But
stop, or "We're gonna do something," or "Stop," or this.
Yeah, but you said that China and Russia.
It's okay.
Wait, hold on. You said that China and Russia are not a country of immigrants. You know why that is, right? Because they don't let nobody in. You go to Western Europe, all of those countries have foreigners in there. The reason China and Russia are not countries of immigrants is because they have a history of doing what you're talking about, shooting people that's trying to come in.
Well, there you go. You know what I mean? There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, I got to move it on, Justin. All right. Are you pro-life?
What I say.
Before I let you go, are you pro-life? Take your time.
I'm pro-life, but to a certain degree. There's gray areas. You know what I mean? There's
Okay.
gray areas.
All right.
And I go with those gray areas. You know, I'm not gonna be like 100% no. You know, if you got raped and this and that, whatever, or your uncle or your brother or whatever. No, you know, there's certain, or your life is in danger or something like that. No, of course, you know, steps need to be made.
All right.
Not 100%.
Well, you and I disagree on the spectrum of politics, but I do find that last statement fair.
One more thing.
Sure.
Oh, you're welcome. Can I do one more thing? Okay, again, like I was saying back in the very beginning, it's not the open borders thing about what that I say, but I'm saying Biden is allowing these people in because look what's going on in Chicago, look what's going on in New York. You know, people are coming up and saying about all these people taking their place in the hotels and this and that, and the schools and whatever the case may be. So it's got to happen. Something is happening.
I'll tackle that on the.
It's not happening.
You're correct. Something is happening. I'll tackle that on the other side. I appreciate you coming in, though. All right. And by the way, hey, thank you. And by the way, on YouTube, I wanted to acknowledge El Ray says, great show. I watch as much as I can. Appreciate that, folks that are tuning in. By the way, smash that like button on YouTube. Tap the screen for my TikTok viewers, 600, almost 700 of you in here. Get your boy likes up to 35,000. I always ask that you tap the screen because it helps out the algorithm. The program is always MAGA friendly. That's where my For You page, and that does bring more MAGA to the program. C. Osby, yeah! Appreciate the hat and mustache. Thank you for the roses. And Stevie D is a good looking guy, by the way. Thank you, Stevie. I do see that. It helps out the algorithm when you tap the screen. The program is MAGA friendly and it brings more to the fray. So that's why I always ask that you tap the screen. Looking real quick, but wanted to give acknowledgement on my YouTube side. I'm from California and 6 people got smoked in El Mirage, the desert, cartel style. Wow, we will see when they release details, but this has cartel stuff written all over. Wow. You know, here's one of the issues before I go back to the box, and I see there's a bunch of you in there. I will go straight there. We want to shut the border down because of fentanyl. That's a common complaint you hear. You shut the border down, we won't have all this fentanyl coming in. Folks, there are very few Americans you've ever heard that suggest someone pinned them down and forced fentanyl into their system. Fact is, there's a huge demand from Americans for drugs. You're not going to stop this shit by shutting down the border. People want to get high in this country. It's like alcohol prohibition back in the 1920s. You're not going to stop people from wanting to do this. It's no different than, you know, these laws they tell women, well, if you don't want to have a baby, close your... People want to do shit. You're not going to legislate morality or responsibility. It's going to fail. Shutting the border down is not going to stop fentanyl from coming in the country because too many people that have power in this country are probably making money off the consumption of fentanyl. I don't see that as a viable argument, but it does come up. Looking in the box, we'll continue the program. I appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen as well. Going straight to Brandy. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Yeah, but the price will skyrocket until they start finding a way to make their own shit. I agree with you, though. Brandy, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. So we actually got two topics being tackled. One is Trump losing $83.3 million to E. Jean Carroll in a defamation suit. Do you think they went too far?
I haven't really been keeping up with that, honestly, or whatever.
You didn't?
So I don't really have an opinion on that.
Okay, we'll go. Did you hear us discussing what's going on in Texas with Greg Abbott?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that was my biggest concern. I live actually close to the border, about 2.5 hours away. And a lot of people aren't realizing how bad it actually is. Actually, I would say I probably live about almost 3.5 hours away from the border. And we're in a very small community, extremely small community. There may be 3,500 people that live in our town. And the amount of illegals, and I'm not just saying they're from Mexico. We've caught people. Our local sheriff's department has caught people on the FBI's most wanted terrorists list. Back in 2018, they caught 4 of them. Back in 2020, they caught 6 of them. And just maybe 3 weeks ago, they caught a truck full of them. They had actually wrecked not even 2 miles from our elementary school. They did a high-speed chase in the middle of our town, and then they actually wrecked into our ag department, is what it's called. It's for the school. They wrecked into there, and there was 6 guys that were on the most wanted terrorist list from Iraq.
So, wow, holy shit. So at the end of the day then, like some of my earlier callers, do you support taking them out if they come here illegally?
I don't agree with shooting them, no, but I think that they should be captured and sent back to where they came from. I mean, it's hard because I'm a loving person, and a lot of people in South Texas, we do have hearts. But at the same time, it's kind of like I said, I live 3.5 hours away, roughly about 3.5 hours away from the border where Eagle Pass is. You have Nuevo Laredo and Brownsville, where we're having high activity coming in.
But wait, hold on. Here's what I mean. You say we have hearts. Let's say we get Trump back in, because I'm assuming that anybody who believes we have a problem at the border is going to support Trump over Biden. I get that. But Trump is talking about the largest deportation in U.S. history. If Trump becomes president and starts enacting what he refers to as the largest deportation in U.S. history, would you support that?
If you're an illegal immigrant, you came here, you're working, you're contributing to society, you have not had any kind of criminal behavior while your time being here, whether you came illegally or not, then you should have the authority to try to seek citizenship, whether it be through a visa or something. But if you've had high crime activity, or you have been associated with the drug fentanyl and all that stuff or whatever, which a lot of these people that are coming over here, which a lot of people don't talk about it, is it's not just Mexico coming here.
Yeah, big dog.
You have people from Iraq.
Yeah.
You have people from Russia. You have people from Chile. You have people from Turkey. You have people from China. They're catching all these people across the board.
But hold on, hang on a second. Brandy, in the comments, I gotta agree with Victor that says that's more than 90% of them. When you say you want to target the ones that are here committing crimes, or you're talking about folks on the watch list from places like Iraq and things like that, out of the 6 million folks that have come here under the Biden administration that people allege, the overwhelming majority of them are not committing crimes. Most of those folks that are laying on the streets in Chicago that your state has bust up there, they don't have criminal records. I mean, if we took your statement, most of them would end up being able to stay, because most of them haven't committed crimes since they've been here. You don't think that most immigrants coming to America come here and get caught up in the law, do you?
I don't think majority of them do. I think they're honestly trying to just get away from wherever they're coming from. But like back to where I live in a small town, we have 6 to 8 vehicles stolen every single night. Like 6 to 8, because we're not far from I-10. So our insurance on vehicles in the past 2 years has gone up like $250.
Wait, you're having that much trouble in that? What's the population in your town?
3,500.
What happened to Jason Aldean? You never heard of that song?
Yes.
Doesn't seem to work.
I mean,
Go ahead.
They're doing it in the middle of the night. Like a lot of, if you go to, like where I live in Lavaca County. You can go on Lavaca County Crime Stoppers on Facebook, and they're doing it in the middle of the night. They're stealing these vehicles, and then they're driving around for like multiple days in these vehicles, and then they're coming back a week later with their other crew, and they're stealing more vehicles.
Wow.
They're stealing like tractor equipment, dozers. Like we have a Kubota here. They had like over $70,000 or $80,000 worth of equipment stolen.
So let me just obviously you're dealing with a lot of crime in that area, but let me make sure I get this clear. You don't support the largest deportation in history that Trump is proposing, other than just to get the ones that are committing crimes out. What about the ones that are not committing crimes? Would you support him deporting them too?
I think that there should be a way for them to become like citizens of the United States and be able to pay tax dollars.
So welcome to the liberal side of the aisle. You're talking like a liberal now.
I have conservative and liberal views on a lot of things, and a lot of people, they think MAGA or Trump supporters are just dead ho on this, and people think that Texas is some racist state, but honestly, if you talk to a lot of Republicans in Texas, we all feel the same way. We just want safety, we want security, and a lot of us, like y'all say, pro-life or whatever. I'm pro-life to an extent or whatever. I believe if you've been raped, if there's been incest, if you're 6 to 12 weeks or whatever, you should be able to do what you want. After 12 weeks, I don't think you should be able to do it.
Listen, Brandy, you don't sound like anything like what your governor is promoting. Your governor wants to make it a law to even lead a state by the highway and have an abortion. Your governor doesn't want to let folks, you said people who haven't committed a crime, there should be a way they can stay. You think Governor Abbott agrees with that?
Honestly, or whatever, I think there's a lot of people in Texas that do kind of believe the same way I do.
Really?
But our governor is just trying to go the extreme on certain issues.
Yeah, that's why your state's in. You're correct about the extreme part. You said that some people are calling your state racist and all these evil things. It's the guy that's leading your state. You're admitting he's committing acts of extremity. That's why your state is being labeled. You may be a very nice person, but if you're voting in someone that's doing this stuff that you refer to as extreme, he's getting your state labeled because you guys keep supporting them.
It's kind of hard though, because either we go with Abbott, there's a couple things that we don't agree with, or the last election was Beto, and Beto wanted to take our guns away. So I'm kind of like, do I want my guns or do I not want abortion? Like, which one is it? There's no medium.
That's bad.
There's no medium.
All right, Brandy, well said. Appreciate it. Is this our first time talking?
Yes, sir, it sure is.
It's absolutely been a pleasure. Don't be a stranger. Come on back through anytime. Wow.
Have a good evening.
Hey, you too. Just another, oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Just another number. Absolutely. Very nice. That was beautiful. Looking at the comments, it's not racist to protect the U.S. border and U.S. citizens. 100% agree. Unless you start targeting certain types of immigrants you have a problem with. But I do agree that protecting the border is not racist. But when you start talking about, well, why do they always have to come from shithole countries? Why can't they come from Norway? Then it starts to sound kind of racist. But I appreciate the comment. Looking in the box. We'll keep the program moving. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 50,000. Thank you, lady, for speaking for Texans, says El Ray Cahoon. All right, fair enough. There's my last caller, Brandy, understand, folks on YouTube. We do run the program simultaneously on YouTube, so folks on YouTube agree with my last caller. 8 cars a night, that's incredible. Why is she bringing up all those MAGA talking points if she feels that way? Perhaps she's seeing it and it's resonating with her. I don't know, but I had to give, I got to give people the benefit of the doubt. Moving the program on, Twisted Reality Designs. Hell of a name. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. 83.3 million, the courts say in regards to Trump, Texas is ready to take on the United States government. Twisted Reality, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I'm doing good. Good to have you on.
So there were a couple couple of things that you had made mention on, not the last person that was on, but the person before that.
Sure.
One is the invasion, right?
Right.
You said that if all these people are coming over the border and they're violent criminals, why aren't they jumping over the border and committing violent crimes? But if you were trying to import a mass invasion army, you would want them to stay low, right?
So wait a minute. You're saying that this is some type of concerted effort to come into the United States, be on your best behavior, kind of like a sleeper cell that's 6 million strong? Is that what you're telling me?
So that would sound a bit like a conspiracy theory.
You're damn right, but that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying, right?
I don't want to try. I don't want to try and play games. But so for one, probably not all of the people that are coming over the border are violent or murders and rapists or anything like that. There probably are a lot of people that are just seeking asylum. But for all we know, there may be people that are trying to import sleeper cells.
Yeah, but is there? Wait, hold on. Twist the reality. Wait, hold on. You could be 100% correct. However, I gotta ask: is there any evidence of that, or is that just something we want to be cautious about? Because people do come into the country from the northern border as well, and understand the actual sleeper cell that took down the World Trade Center. They came here legally. So, is it a conspiracy theory, or is it based on actual evidence?
I don't have any facts to support not necessarily a theory.
Okay. I want to make sure I get that out. So this is just something, if you don't have any facts of it, I'm kind of wondering why it came up.
Well, it was just something I was thinking about while you were talking.
Right. And by you throwing that out there, which could draw the attention of folks who are already concerned, can you not see where somebody may say bringing up sleeper cells coming through the southern border could be fear-mongering? Because you admitted I don't have any evidence of any of this, but that could scare the shit out of some people, having folks thinking that, cells of bad people are going to come over here, be on their best behavior until it's time to commit an act of violence.
But also, can you deny that there may be cells of bad people in the group of 6 million people?
Well, there may be a.
If you were,
go ahead.
If you were trying to smuggle in, say, even 30 people that had ill intent,
right?
Would you send them in with a group of 40 people, or would you send them in with a group of 400 people?
Well, I would send them in with the larger group. I get your point to blend in. However, if I was truly going to send someone over here with hopes of doing danger to the United States, I would take bin Laden's route. Do everything legally. Just like if you're transporting drugs on a highway, you make sure you got a car that is in perfect running condition, all the headlights work, you maintain the speed limit. You would do everything you could to stay under the radar, which would mean not coming illegally at all.
But also, some of those people probably could not get into the country legally.
If you are a sleeper cell, you can get in here legally. I mean, if you're coming from Afghanistan, if you can afford to come all the way over to South America or Central America and come up, you obviously are not broke. If you want to do some serious damage to the United States via the methods you're talking about, you can find funding. You don't need to come in illegally. Plenty of people will fund you. There are Iranian nationals that will give you all the money you needed to come legally.
But they can't fix your fingerprints.
Yeah.
Your fingerprints are going to be your fingerprints.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you do admit there's no evidence to this stuff at all. We're just speculating that among the groups that are coming in here, the worst of the worst might be in that group.
And as far as fear mongering is concerned, I would like to aforemention that I would like to avoid fear mongering at any point.
Twisted.
I'm just about my confidence, right?
Twisted, for God's sake, wait a minute. We have a 3-minute conversation on sleeper cells and you conclude, well, I want to avoid fear mongering. I think it's kind of late at this point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But intelligence is the exchange of ideas without things like name calling and fear mongering, right?
Are you saying that Trump has no intelligence?
I wouldn't say that.
Well, he does a lot of name calling, as you stated. Just wanted to bring it up. I mean, we like him because he name called, right?
Well, that's actually one of the reasons why I don't like Trump.
Oh.
Like, honestly, so I'm not a Trump supporter per se, but as far as his presidency is concerned, I think that he probably would have been a near perfect president had he just shut up once in a while.
There are plenty of people that agree with you. I mean, that's not an uncommon thought. There are people who think he was a perfect president, even with the name calling. So what you're saying is not an uncommon statement. Twisted, I do got to move on, though, unfortunately. Appreciate you coming through, though. Hey, good talk. Anytime. Come on back. All right, looking in the box. Somebody said, I didn't hear what the last party said there, but anytime, Twisted, always come back through. Except for overthrowing the government, says Steve. In other words, Trump would have been a great president, at the exception of trying to commit an act of insurrection. Some say it was an act of insurrection or an attempted coup. Others say it was a great day, a peaceful protest. At least that's what Trump has stated. Real quick, tap the screen. Make that 60,000. Vote by the Riverside. William, thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you, William. Real quick on the simulcast on YouTube. Hope all is well, bro driver. Thank you. Hit the like button, folks, on YouTube. Yes, smash that like button. Thank you, lady, for speaking the truth. All right, going back to the box here. Any president of a corporation follows orders. Thank you for those skates. No, what does that say? No Live Hill. Thank you. And Jinx, shout out to you. Trump got away with everything until he became president. There's some validity to that. There is some validity to that. I don't disagree with that. Some would say that Hillary Clinton was getting away with shit. I'm not a fan of anybody getting away with things, but understand if you run for the nation's highest office, people are going to go dig up everything they can in your closet. So, yeah, Trump, I actually tend to agree with Michael Cohen. I know MAGA, my beloved MAGA, is no fan of Michael Cohen, but he was Trump's lawyer for 20 years. I do believe he was squelching or putting out a lot of fires surrounding a big businessman like Trump. Any big successful business person is going to have people coming after him. You're a financial target. And I do believe Michael Cohen, as he called himself the fixer, I do believe he was doing that stuff. I don't think he's making all that stuff up. I think that he was making so that Trump could actually operate and, paying people off here or doing whatever. I mean, in a city like New York, because folks often suggest Trump is not a typical politician. You cannot become a real estate mogul in a city like New York without politicking. Trump obviously was a big friend of Rudolph Giuliani, the mayor. You think getting permits and things like that, you want to tell me you can do that without politicking in a city like New York? He was a politician. He just didn't run for office. Going back to the box, and I do appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Help get those likes up. You know what we always say here. Going to Steve in the box. I do see someone with the name Coming to Texas, which kind of piques my interest, because we're talking about Texas potentially taking on the National Guard, or taking on Joe Biden, rather. Steve, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'll tell you, the hypocrisy of these people rooting to drown refugees in the river is just mind-boggling. The best of them talk about wanting to follow the Constitution. Well, the Constitution nowhere provided for a border patrol, for immigration laws. Congress is not authorized in Article 1 to pass any immigration laws whatsoever. So if you're all about the Constitution and constitutional originalism like these guys claim to be, then you've got to amend the Constitution if you want immigration laws. Secondly, they go on about illegals. These people are 10 times more law-abiding than native-born citizens. You don't see them flooding our prisons. Those are people that are homegrown. These people come here to work and to contribute to America, as they always have, as our ancestors did. It's ridiculous. And meanwhile, they support a guy who literally has been found by the trial court, the same trial court that said he could stay on the ballot. The first court to address the issue said he incited violent insurrection against the United States. There is no higher crime than that. And
So wait a minute, how do you...
And then they call people who aren't hurting them illegals.
So when you say the illegals thing, and you talk about, they're here just to work and things like that, how do you respond to when Trump say that they're not sending us their best and brightest, they're actually sending us rapists and murderers? How do you respond to that?
It's hilarious. It's hilarious for a guy who talks like a third grader, and the linguists have scientifically analyzed his speech. He speaks at a third grade level, which is why all these morons come out saying, oh, he's the first guy I could understand and really says things plain. Yeah, because he talks like a third grader. For that guy to call anybody not the best and brightest is ridiculous. A guy who's filed for bankruptcy 6 times, a guy who took a fortune and squandered it. He has less money now than if he'd taken his dad's money and just put it in the bank or put it in the stock market. He'd be way richer. He'd be as rich as he pretends to be.
Wow.
And he calls other people not the best and brightest. The man is a criminal. 91 felony indictments pending.
Wait a minute, Steve. Well, hold on, Steve. We got to get a man his due process. You say the man's a criminal. He hasn't been convicted of anything yet. Those are just charges right now. He's not officially a criminal. He does not officially...
That's only because the justice system moves so slowly. But yesterday, a jury says he owes his rape victim $83 million.
Yeah.
You can't have a president like that. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing.
Well, some folks have suggested, I've talked to numerous folks on the program that suggest, when you say it's embarrassing, folks have stated that it is Biden as president that has leaders around the world laughing at America.
Yeah, well, these are people who never travel outside the United States, so they naturally don't know anything about what leaders throughout the rest of the world think. These are people who don't leave their own towns. These are people who have never seen or met a Mexican, all up in arms over the border. I've lived in San Diego now for the past 17 years. I grew up in Ohio, and I'll tell you what, if Vietnamese people can be a model minority to these Republican types, Mexicans should be double.
Wait a minute. What did you say? Republican? Hold on. My audio can be kind of messed up here. Did you say Republican? It sounded different. You say Republican types, right?
Yeah.
I thought I heard con. I thought I heard Republican. Okay. All right. So
yeah. Back when I was one, I was just wrong. I wasn't crazy. But we used to say, oh, look at how all the good people from Vietnam come here and they work hard and they build businesses and do a good job. Yada, yada, yada. That's exactly the way Mexicans are. I'm telling you, they're the best people. I've lived around these people for 16, 17 years. They're fantastic people. They make good Americans.
So then why do you think they're being why do you think folks are saying so? If you think that they make good people, why do you think there's so many people speaking otherwise of them? Why are they doing that if they're good people?
Because they are ignorant racists who don't know anything except what they watch in movies. They watch some stupid 80s movie that shows gangsters, and then they say, oh, look how scary. We don't want that around here. Yeah, these are people that are afraid of everything. Listen to that last guy going on about sleeper cells are coming here. The sleeper cell is in his nap time room. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I did have a woman on though that lived in a border town that was talking about her town has had a skyrocket amount of crime. Lived in a small town. I asked her about Jason Aldean, try that in a small town. Apparently that song is not realistic. But she said she was in a small town and there was a lot of crime from immigrants coming across the border. She lived down in southern Texas.
It's not coming across the border. It's coming from Billy Bob loves Charlene, so he steals a car and then goes there to go see her and get her pregnant. And then he wants some farm equipment because he doesn't know what he's going to do for a living to support his new baby.
Oh my God.
Homegrown crime.
All right, Steve, I got to move it on. You're going to have me crying. Okay. Wow.
Thanks.
All right, appreciate it. Absolute. Good talk. Wow, that was crazy. Okay. All right, look, listen, I do believe in letting everyone speak, so understand it. You're going to hear opinions you vehemently disagree with and then others that resonate with you perfectly. Like I always say, we go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon tonight. So we do believe in free speech. Tap the screen if that is what you like. By the way, if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern that the host is trying to block, ban, or censor you, follow the program. We do this typically Monday through Friday at 1 p.m., but we're on the day because so much has come out, particularly with Texas taking on the Biden administration and Trump losing an $83.3 million lawsuit in the span of 24 hours. So that's kind of why we're on this weekend. But if you do enjoy civilized dialogue, follow the program, tap the screen, get your boy up to 70,000. You know how that helps out the algorithm. Understand the program is and always will be MAGA friendly. It's always been that way. But liberals are welcome on the program as well. Looking in the comments, took me 2 years to get my worker's permit. Took me 5 to get my green card. Yikes. And that's before you could even get in the country. I migrated to Australia, so yours truly, I do know some of the pitfalls in terms of migrating. Also, had people yelling at me in line, go back to your own damn country. You're here to steal our resources and things like that. They didn't know I was an American, but I did have that happen to me personally. So I know the challenges of migrating to another country. Not to mention, it was expensive. Lots of paperwork. It took time. At the end of the day, like for instance, when I did it, I left Chicago, had to show my fingerprints and criminal record from Chicago, Cook County, state of Illinois, had to also run it by the feds, give them all of that. Then they ran me through Interpol to make sure I didn't have any international warrants. Had to take medical exams to make sure you weren't bringing in any diseases, x-rays. It's a lot. It is very involved. And as I stated, you got to be able to pay for all of that. The typical immigrant can't do that. Looking in the box. We'll continue the program on. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. We'll go straight to Amy Lynn Joyce. Oh, I meant to. All right, we'll make it happen. I don't know what's going on with the box, but sellout, says Vernon. What am I selling out and who the hell is paying me? Vernon in the comments says I'm a sellout. Let me know where the money's coming, and then I'll tell you what I sold you. Amy Lynn, good afternoon.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Do you stand with Texas?
Yes, I stand with Texas. A couple things. This country is based on laws.
True.
Correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolute.
Without laws, what happens?
Chaos. Without laws, January 6th happens, some would say.
I wasn't at January 6th. Do I think it is everything the news? I don't watch CNN and I don't watch Fox. I think they're both a joke. I think anybody that watches mainstream more is brain dead.
Do you? Well, let's take the words of Trump. Do you think January 6th was a good day?
I think the intentions of going there that day for them people was supposed to be a good day. There is so much out there that there were people in the crowd that were not the average grandmom trying to show her support for the country.
Now you made it clear you were not there that day and you don't watch the mainstream media. How do you know that?
How do I know what?
You made it clear you were not in January. You were not there.
I was working that.
Wait, no. Were you in Washington on January 6th?
No.
Then how do you know there were not certain types of people in the crowd?
Because there's so many people that have been arrested that happen to be, what is his name? The one guy that worked for CNN. His girlfriend works for CNN, and they made the video. They're the first ones that was sold their video coverage. I forget his name. He has a twin brother. They were also the ones putting the Antifa, one played Antifa side, the other one played Trump side, the two brothers.
Where are you getting?
They're adopted.
Where are you getting this from? If you don't watch them,
There's so much. If you want to join one group that you can see real new, Epoch Times is good. We the People is good news. There's so many real things out there that you can learn not to watch the scripted news that is out there.
do you see? You mentioned Epic Times. I'm aware of that news organization. Do you see them as unbiased, fair news? Epoch Times.
Worldwise, I believe I go by as far as world news. So I have a niece. She went around the world teaching English. She lived in Australia. Her year was up in Australia. They came and got her and kicked her out. She loved Australia. She wanted to live there. She went to England. She was in England for a year. Then she had to go. She has been in China now for 5 years. She actually
Okay, wait, hold on, Amy, hold on, Amy. I just want to bring it back in for a minute. I asked you, do you think Epoch News is an unbiased news source?
No, I don't. I think as far as worldwide, you're going by American news. So you're going as Epoch Times, a reputable for America. They're just not American news. So if they're going to sit there and tell you January 6th was an insurrection, well, it's not an insurrection because he wasn't charged for insurrection. They impeached him twice on that. If they could have found him to be an insurrectionist, they would have. So I find that false that people bring that up, whether I voted for Trump or not. I voted for Obama twice.
So let me ask you something. Right. Let me ask you, because you mentioned if he had committed an act of insurrection, they would have impeached him twice. They would have got him. Trump suggested Hillary Clinton is Trump suggested Hillary Clinton is a criminal. She hasn't been charged with anything. Do you think that means she is innocent?
No, I believe that there's no proof of anything she did. So I don't think that day was a day that everybody saw. Okay. You can tell people to go and support something and then it not turn out. I can throw a birthday party for my son. Okay. Have my whole family there. Two cousins get into a fight, start throwing down, and then a neighbor next door shoots one of the cousins. Okay? Did I intend when I threw the birthday party for that to happen? Of course not. Come on. Okay. That's just common sense.
Right.
You go to do something to have a good thing happen or something for people to have their voices heard, not to turn out to be a bunch of jackasses doing stupid stuff that day.
But Amy, they're in the crowd calling for the death of Mike Pence before they even go to the Capitol building. What did you think was going to happen?
You had a handful of people doing that.
Why weren't they removed?
I'm going to send you, if you post your email, and I'm going to send you a documentary, a real-time, minute-to-minute, put out by real people, okay, for minute what happened that day on multiple different cameras.
Okay.
Okay.
My email is on the profile. It's right there under my picture on the profile. I do got to move it on, but send me what you got, and you're always welcome back.
Wait, hold on. I wanna get back to
Real
this
quick.
is law and order.
Real quick, go ahead.
And as far as vetting people, you're having all these people come in here, and I have no problems with immigration. I have no problem with people coming in here legally. There's a reason why you do it legally. Okay? You said about all the stuff you had to do to go to Australia. We're not vetting anybody that comes here. And it has nothing to do with just criminals and not criminals. We're talking diseases and not diseases. You're talking, there's so many trickle down effects of what is happening at the border that you're not even looking at long term. People say, "Oh, you're taking my jobs." Well, I do demolition for a living. I'm a girl that happens to be knocking down, buildings inside. City of Philadelphia is an absolute mess since coronavirus. Half of the skyscrapers.
But wait, hold on. You're covering a whole lot of stuff. So let me ask you at the end of the day, I agree with you that people coming in the country need to be vetted. But Trump stated they're not sending us their best and brightest, they're sending us their rapists and murderers. Do you believe the folks coming in this country are... Wait, hold on. I haven't asked you, Amy, I haven't asked you the question yet. Do you believe the majority of... Amy, we're having a conversation. Do you believe majority of the folks coming in the country are rapists and murderers?
Okay, so the comment he made that was, I was watching that day. There was in Newark, New Jersey, that day, a 9-year-old was lit on fire from an MSNBC, from an MS-13 person. And when he was asked that question, if you go back and look at the full interview, it was based on that. Now, since then, he has made the comment that there is not sending people that are vetted. They are not sending people that are not criminals. He's mentioned numerous times, and other countries. We made a deal with Biden for gas.
Amy, let me ask you specifically. Do you think the majority of them coming here are rapists and murderers?
I could tell you that with several people that are in my family that work with people, and I don't want to put companies out there, that yes, not all of them are criminals. Some happen to be lovely, great people.
That ain't what I asked you. I asked you, do you believe the majority of them coming here are rapists and murderers? It's a yes or no question. Do you believe that the majority of them coming here are rapists and murderers?
I believe a handful are rapists and murderers. I believe a handful are working for the cartel, and I believe a handful are terrorists, and I believe a handful are coming to find jobs. I believe you have millions of people coming. It's just like a bunch of us going to see the Eagles game. A handful of us are going to be pedophiles. A handful of us are going to beat our dogs. A handful of us are going to beat our children. A handful of us are going to be really good people that go to church on Sunday.
All right.
You're putting people in a box.
Is it an invasion? Is it an invasion?
Yes, it is an invasion.
Okay.
I'm looking at the Declarations of Independence and Constitution right now. I pulled it out. I dusted it off. It's a book I have on all the documents. It is an invasion. Biden is not doing his job on as far as people should be vetted to come into this country. Should be, first of all, I think they should change the immigration laws anyway. I think people should be, not because your grandmom lives here, that you should be able to come in here. I think we should be bringing in the best of other countries, things to make America great. So we world out, okay? We need to send Ukraine all this money, and Russia, and this one and that one, and this one for, gender studies, and we're just sending all our tax dollars. You're getting 33% of your dollar already now.
All right. Okay. I don't want to get too far off topic. Okay. I don't want to get too far off topic with you. What did that say? We don't even have the best that's born here, honey. I like that answer. What about the northern border? Nobody cares about the northern border, but you should. But that's a good question, but nobody seems to be concerned with what's going on at the northern border. She has simply no idea what she's even saying, but great at repeating Fox. Well, she started by saying she doesn't watch Fox. She prefers the Epoch Times. Donald Trump is stopping Biden from doing his job, says Joyride. That is, may think that, you know, Biden is not doing his job or they don't like the job he's doing. That's a fair debate to have. Certainly, if you want to say Biden is not doing his job, I mean, there's a reason to believe that because he wants to do things that you may not agree with. But the claim that Trump is stopping Biden from doing his job is absolutely true because you got the Speaker of the House that's admitting that Biden has told the Republican Congress not to work with the Democratic Senate. So, yeah, he is stopping Biden from doing his job. Looking in the comments, MAGA demon. Yikes, that's hard. That's harsh. Be nice to the guests. Biden for local dog catcher. Only job maybe he's qualified for. Now, remember, MAGA believes Biden cannot string together a sentence, doesn't know where he's at most of the time, is falling down. Does that sound like a qualified dog catcher to you, sir? I just have to ask that. Somebody needs to stop. Somebody needs to stop from doing his job because what he's doing is not right. I'm assuming you're saying someone needs to stop Biden from doing his job because he's failing at it. All right, fair enough. All right, going back to the box. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Coming to Texas. The name says it all. Certainly going to assume when it comes to the Governor Abbott versus Biden conversation, we know where you're at, but coming to Texas, the floor is yours. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great. What's going on in your state?
A lot, as you know, at the border, but to tell you the truth, my name on here is coming to Texas because I moved to Texas not too long ago. I moved to Texas actually about 2 years ago.
Okay, you've been there. So you moved to Texas during the Biden administration. How is it?
I lived in New York for 24 years before that.
Sound like you got away from a lot of immigrants.
I am an immigrant.
What country? What's your country of heritage?
Poland.
Oh, Poland. Wow. Okay. So how do you feel about America's immigration problems that exist right now? Who do you favor? You favor what Trump is suggesting or what Biden is suggesting?
To tell you the truth, I don't agree with anybody 100%. My outlook on it is this. Biden wants to go too extreme to one side, and I think Trump wants to go too extreme to the other side. What a comprehensive bill for an immigration reform should be, since I went through that system, in my view, should be this, that there should be a timeline for people set up that I understand if you're here for a long time, let's say 10 years, you have some family members here, you have ties here and things like that. Mm-hmm. You can pass a thorough background check. You've worked, you've paid your taxes, you haven't had any criminal issues, no anything like that. You should be able to be put on a path to citizenship, getting a green card, which gives you a trial over a couple of years to get, a citizenship and be a good citizen in this country.
But let me ask you this now. You said you came from Poland. How long have you been in the United States?
Almost 30 years now.
Were you old enough? Did you come as a child or as an adult?
I came as a child. I was 12.
Okay. Do you remember what the process was like for you to come here back then?
The process right now is flawed as it was back then. The reason I'm saying this is this. I was 12 years old. I came here on a tourist visa. I went back to the country, then I came in again, and I overstayed it. And I was here with my parents. Throughout that time, my sister got married. She became a citizen. That was years ago. She was able to sponsor me legally to have my green card and stay in the country and everything. And that's beautiful because she could put that application for me and I was...
What about your parents? What about your parents?
my parents got their papers through my sister as well.
Oh. So your sister married your sister married an American, and then she sponsored all of you guys.
Correct. That is correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they don't want you doing that. I would tell you right off the bat, they don't want that.
No. Everything was done the correct way because it wasn't done for papers. Everything was. She's married to the guy still. They have a family, beautiful.
That ain't what I'm talking about. That ain't what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, if someone comes here and gets married to an American, that's fine. They don't want that person to be able to sponsor their whole family, though.
All right, but I'm just explaining to you the system that
Right. Fair enough. Okay, that's fair.
So what happened is she was able to sponsor my parents. My parents being, 50 something years old at the time. They got the papers within a year to a year and a half.
Wow.
I was at that time about 17, 18 years old. And looking at it from my perspective, I'm the youngest guy. I had the most potential to go to college, to get an education, to provide, to get a family, to pay my taxes and all that other stuff. But for me to get papers, it took me 10 freaking years. 10 years I had to wait.
Yeah.
Which is a disaster. The system is upside down, if you ask me.
Let me ask you this though, because obviously coming from Poland, you are European, and folks have opinions on Europeans versus folks that are of Hispanic descent. Have you yourself personally, do you believe you've observed any racism in immigration? Because I see folks in the comments are saying they don't care about you coming because you're white. Do you see where there may have been any racism, or you may have had any kind of advantages at all? And I guess I'd be talking white privilege, I guess, but have you seen where there's any racism in European in immigration?
I believe there is. I think there's some racism in every single system we have. A certain amount of it. I believe that. I have Hispanic family members. Through my nephews and things like that. We get along great family. Nobody had ever issues with it. And I'm a European. Europeans normally are less used to bringing other races into their family than Americans are, because the country here, there's a lot more
diversity,
different races.
Yeah, there's diversity.
They're used to it more.
Right.
Over there, it's less. None of us ever had issues with that situation. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, the gentleman that was talking before, the lady that you just spoke to, I don't know, but I just got a very bad vibe from him. You were laughing about his comments. I was laughing about his comments. They were terrible. I mean, come on, man. You're talking about people trying to be tolerant to people and accepting and all that other stuff. There was none of that in his comments. Zero.
Yeah. Excuse me. I took some water in down the wrong pipe, but so at the end of the day, you said you see extremes for both Trump and Biden. Give me some examples of what do you believe Biden is doing that's extreme that you disagree with.
I think like the way Texas closed off the border, I think if somebody wants to come into the country, they should come through a port of entry. Simple as that.
Well,
not just come through the border, go ahead.
Well, most of them are coming here and applying for asylum. That represents the large majority out of this alleged 6 million immigrants that has come since Biden has been president. Most of them are asylum seekers. They're not running across the desert at high speed or swimming across the river. Most of them are coming and requesting asylum. So at the end of the day, what should Biden do in your opinion?
Yes, you're right about them requesting asylum, but they should be coming through the port of entry. Right now, they're coming through the border. There is no port of entry.
Okay.
They're just getting processed for asylum, which is an incorrect way of doing it.
Well, there is a port every few hundred miles. There is a port of entry. So what you're saying is just don't cross right here, go down to the port of entry and do the same thing you're going to do here, which is ask for asylum. Just do it at a port of entry.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's not unreasonable. So if Biden made that change, you wouldn't see him as being extreme on immigration no more.
Not necessarily, but I would have to see. I know there's a bill in the Senate right now that they're speaking of that they want to get through on immigration. I've seen some details that might be in that bill. I don't know if whatever I saw is correct or not, but the numbers they're trying to allow to come in on a daily basis and on a monthly basis, to me, they're extreme. There should be an allowable number of people to come in, but it should be, I've seen a number of 5,000 people a day. I don't know if that's a correct number, but if it is, that's just insane to me.
What would you think is more suitable?
I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't know exactly. I didn't think into that deep, but I think that's just extreme, because if you take 365 days a year, you multiply it by 5,000 people, just get that number. That's an insane number.
Well, what is 365 times 1,000? That's 300 and some odd thousand people annually. So multiply. You're talking about 1.5 million people.
1.8.
Go ahead.
It's actually 1.825. It's 1,825,000 people.
Is that really that much for a whole year in a country the size of the United States? You really think that's extreme?
The number I'd be happy with is 1 million or under.
All right. I don't think. Okay, fair enough. I mean, that's not way off. But now on the other side, you said Trump doing things that is extreme. What is Trump doing that you feel is extreme?
You see, what I don't like, what Trump is trying to do is when he comes in, I don't like the situation where he comes in and he just tries to deport everybody that's illegally, that doesn't have a legal status here. I think that's incorrect. There's a lot of good people that should be, like I mentioned to you before. If you're here for 8-10 years, no criminal history, you paid your taxes, you're a good citizen without being a legal citizen, why not allow a person like that
so you're saying
support their family and do it the legal way?
Yeah, so you're saying in regards to the immigration debate, there's actually good people on both sides. So you're saying that some of them are actually good people. I think Trump could understand that comment. I think Trump would be quite familiar with good people on both sides. Fair enough. I don't listen.
Yeah, I understand that. I was about to mention that. Don't go to Charlottesville with that one.
All right, I do get it. Moving on then, man. I appreciate coming to Texas. What city did you go to?
Actually in Dallas.
I used to live in Dallas myself on 75 right off of Roll Lane, a little bit north of Richardson, but still in the city of Dallas. Definitely familiar with the area. Appreciate you coming in the program, though. All right, appreciate it. All right, looking in the comments, I feel they are going to invade us from the inside out, says C. Rose. That's what my caller before last was talking about in regards to sleeper cells. By way of yes or no, because I thought was an extreme comment, but a lot of maybe some people actually agree with this. By way of yes or no, type yes if you actually do believe some immigrants may come into this country, stay on their best behavior, knowing at the end of the day they want to band together and do something harmful to this country. In other words, a large group of sleeper cells. If you think that's a possibility, type yes. If you think it's ridiculous, feel free to type no. But a sleeper cell, come to America through the southern border, remain on your best behavior, look like an immigrant that's coming here to do good, and get all of your, maybe it's weapons, maybe it's plans and tactics in place, maybe you're a small team, maybe you're a large team, and commit an act of, let's say, terror inside the United States. Because C. Rose said that, and so did my other caller. I feel they're going to invade us from the inside out. Let me know in the comments, how many of you folks think that? I think it's a pretty extreme position, but there are people who do believe that. Yes, what is 1% of a million? What would that be, 10,000? That would be crazy. That's a crazy number of people. If 1% represented a sleeper cell, and according to folks, they say 66 million under Biden is what they're saying. 60,000 terrorists at once would be a disaster. That would be a disaster. That would be way worse. That would be like what happened to Israel on October 7th. We're a much bigger country, far more populated than Israel, but they only had a handful of guys that went into that country, maybe 1,000, I think, or something. Handful of guys went into that country and did what they did. 60,000 folks, and keep in mind, it would not be hard for an immigrant to come into this country and then obtain weapons and firearms. We like to make it easy to get a gun, don't we? So I suppose it could be possible. I don't personally submit to that theory. I don't believe it, but there are folks who do. So I wanted to run that by you. Looking in the comments, they're going to be wearing blue hats with the letters UN, says Justin on YouTube. I've heard of that too, the New World Order thing or whatever, the UN's going to. Folks have a lot of theories. If one goes to another country, one must have passport, but these illegal immigrants, no ID at all. True, because some of those countries they're coming from, like Venezuela, for instance, does not even have a stable government. You can't get a passport if there's no government in place. Same thing with suggesting that you vet them and run background checks. If there's no one to call, like I mentioned, when I went to Australia, they had governments in place in the United States. They could ask, did he get in trouble in Chicago? Did he get in trouble in Cook County? Did he get in trouble in the state of Illinois? What is his federal rap sheet like? You can't do that in Venezuela. There's no government in place, so it's impossible to do that. It's easier for people to get paid to do stupid things, especially when you get to come in an open border. Like I said, I don't believe you can just walk into the United States. I don't believe the open border comment. I'd have to see more evidence of that. Let me go back to the box. Appreciate you folks that are calling. Marco062. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Do you stand with Texas, and is 83.3 mil too much to order President Trump to pay? Good afternoon, Marco. Marco, are you with me?
Oh, yeah. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. I'm assuming you were listening in?
Yes, I was. I was really listening in.
Okay.
I just got a question for the MAGA and the Republicans. Okay, they got so much interest in the southern border, but on the percentage of mass murder, mass pupilling, it's 80% white males. So why wouldn't they have more concern on the northern border? That's all I have for you. I just want to hear the comments on that.
All right, I'll leave that question to the audience, and I'll respond to it from a devil's advocate standpoint on the other side, but I do appreciate you coming in. Now, he asked if he was aiming the question at MAGA, folks on the right, and asked if you're so concerned with the border, why are you not more concerned with mass shooters, considering they're mostly Caucasian? Well, and he mentioned the northern border. I think probably the issue with the northern border is simple. Folks in Texas, in Arizona, even some in New Mexico, the state of New Mexico, state of Arizona, state of Texas, plenty of citizens are complaining about lawlessness from immigrants coming in the country. That's not happening in the northern border. That's why the southern borders get more attention than the northern border. If you had folks, hanging around, what is the border of Windsor? You got Detroit on one side, Windsor, Canada on the other side. If the citizens of Detroit and Michigan were complaining that Canadians were coming across and committing crimes, the debate would be stronger. I mean, we have a very long border with Canada, all the way over from the Seattle, whatever's above Seattle, Vancouver and all that side, all the way on over to Maine. There's not a lot of U.S. citizens on the northern border complaining. So that's probably the reason why you don't have a lot of issues with the northern border. And not to mention, the squeakiest wheel's going to get the oil, the louder, the earliest bird, or the early bird gets the worm, or whatever the case is. There's the sheer amount of people coming across the southern border is going to dominate the topic of immigration over anything coming across the north. It's got to be 10,000 to 1 in terms of who's coming across the northern border versus the southern border. So it's just a big difference in terms of numbers. Looking in the comments, Canadians only come to the USA because of lower taxes just to shop. And that's also a legitimate point. A lot of folks south of the border think that America's a better country to come to and they're trying to get in. North of the border, very few people think that. Canadians are very happy with the way they're living compared to the US. They could vote in gun rights. They don't want that shit. They could vote in the U.S. healthcare system. They don't want that shit. So the Canadians don't look at the U.S. as if you're such a great country with unlimited freedom. They look at us as if we got a lot of major problems. So Canadians aren't interested in coming here like that. It's a big difference. Trump's New York fraud case is next week. $320 million, says, there's no name there, but in the comments, yikes. Look, Trump came on the scene saying he was a multi-billionaire. At the end of the day, I don't think he's going to be Rudolph Giuliani or Mike Lindell of MyPillow, but he is losing a lot of money. Unlike Giuliani or Mike Lindell or some of these other folks, he does have a large donor base that's willing to bail him out. So Trump won't go bankrupt like Giuliani or Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell is likely to go bankrupt too, but Giuliani is already filed for. But even with Trump's infinite wealth, this stuff has got to be hurting him. But it's 83.3 to E. Jean Carroll. He's not going to win an appeal, folks. Yeah, he'll file one, but he's going to continue criticizing the woman. He's not going to win a defamation appeal while he's defaming her the whole time. In addition to that, Letitia James, which is what my viewer is pointing out, that 320 million case, the city of New York's going to win some money on Trump. May not be 300 mil, but just like with the E. Jean Carroll case, when you piss off a judge, the outcome doesn't usually go in your favor. City of New York is going to get at least 200 mil or more. So you got 83 to E. Jean Carroll, 200 mil, and God knows it could be 500 mil. Like I stated, when you piss off a judge, the outcome is usually not that great. And now they just ruled that the Capitol Police can sue him for what happened on January 6th. I don't know how much Trump is worth, but he's got to be out of about $1 billion by the time all this shit is done. Even if he's worth what he said he's worth, he's losing enough money for it to even be noticeable for somebody with his wealth. He's losing a lot of money in this stuff. Going back to the comments, now see, Justin says Canadians are very angry with Trudeau. You could find citizens very angry with any leader. There are Russians very angry with Vladimir Putin. That doesn't mean he's not going to be around. You think all Chinese like Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping? Think all North Koreans like Kim Jong-un? It doesn't. Let's say Trump gets in office. You think all Americans are going to like Trump? You can find Canadians that do not like Trudeau. That makes sense. But I guarantee whoever he replaced, there was a lot of Canadians that didn't like him either. That's just the way it works. If you don't like Trudeau, you find the ones that don't like him and you point those out. But he became the Prime Minister of Canada because obviously a hell of a lot of people voted for him. Going back to the box, we'll keep the program moving. Wow, I appreciate all you folks that are holding on. We're asking a quick question. Do you stand with Texas? Because of the immigration problem, Governor Greg Abbott has made it clear he's willing to, up to and including, take on the Biden administration. He stated that if Biden federalizes the National Guard, he has law enforcement and other quote-unquote reinforcements willing to stay on his side, which can literally mean the U.S. against Texas. Do you stand with America or do you stand with Texas? That's what we're asking. Christian Miller, appreciate you holding on. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Tap the screen, folks. Get your boy up to 95,000. We're getting close to 100,000. Show your boy some love. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Christian, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Appreciate you coming on. So what do you think? You think E. Jean Carroll, you think that was ridiculous, 83.3 million bucks?
Yeah, actually I do. I think it's a bit ridiculous.
Is it where you see it ridiculous? Do you think it's too much, or like it should have been less, or do you think she didn't deserve anything at all?
To be honest, I think it was too much because I don't really have all of the information on the situation. But when it comes to that much money, I just think that that's ridiculous.
That's a fair point. Do you think he defamed her at all?
I'm sorry, honey. Hold on. Let me turn up my phone real quick. I've got like all of my kids and my husband listening to you. We think you're amazing. So
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Hey, appreciate it. So, do you think he defamed her at all?
No, not really.
Now she is claiming due to his comments, she has had to purchase a dog and keep a gun in her nightstand. So you believe that he hasn't done anything and she's just making this up?
Well, in my opinion, like from like things that I've heard about, like especially celebrities, fighters, I know that it kind of seems a little bit off topic, but a lot of women, I mean, me coming as, being a woman and I have daughters and things like that, I have seen women do a lot of things to get money.
Yeah.
A lot of things to get money. So I honestly think that this could be that situation.
So the thing is kind of a money play, just a money grab. Trump has said the same thing, that it's a money grab. But if that is the case, then why do you think that it went to court where Trump could defend himself and he lost in not only the defamation case, but originally he lost in regards to a jury believed that he was culpable in her assault?
Well, the thing is Trump is a very powerful person in general. So of course they're going to take him to court. They're trying to keep him out instead of being our U.S. president, to keep the borders closed, to keep everything good. He's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Donald Trump has done some wrong things. I don't agree with everything that he's done, but I want him to make America great again. I do not want to go into a civil war right now because you obviously know what is going on at the border right now. And Trump can save us. He can make America great again. And that's what we need. So, of course, they're going to do anything and everything to stop him from doing what he needs to do to make America great again.
So in regards to the suggestion that they're going to do things to stop Trump from becoming president again, and you're not the only one to say that, but you believe Trump losing to E. Jean Carroll and folks suggesting that he is culpable in assaulting her was a hit job to stop him from becoming president? You believe that's why he was found liable, because he wasn't found guilty. It was a civil case, but you believe the liability of Trump in assaulting E. Jean Carroll was done so that he can't become president?
And of course, that's exactly what I believe. But I mean, a lot of people, they're going to have their own opinions on it. And everybody is allowed to have their own opinion. So, I mean, I could be wrong, obviously, but I'm hoping and praying that I'm not wrong because he's amazing. And I think that they are setting him up. Of course they are. I mean, of course, a lot of people supposedly voted for Joe Biden, but, it was just this big crazy thing. I don't really want to go into that, but I honestly think that they are framing Donald Trump so that way they can keep someone as horrible as Joe Biden in office.
Well, if Trump, now you're suggesting that Trump is amazing and he would make the country great. That's fair enough, but why do you think if he is as good as you're saying, so many people are against him?
The lies of the media. I think that the media is giving this false perception of Donald J. Trump, and they're trying to make Joe Biden seem like he's this most amazing man. But me being a Christian, obviously my name is Christian, but I'm a Christian, and I believe that it could be biblical too. I mean, a lot of people are not going to agree with that as well, and that is okay, but I feel like it's biblical.
Now, it's interesting. Now, you said it could be biblical. I was going to ask you a different question, but when you brought that up, it kind of triggered a memory in me. I went to a Trump rally myself about 3 months ago or so, and someone told me personally that Trump was appointed by God. Do you believe that his appointment or his coming on the scene and being our president had anything to do with the deity himself giving him the job? Do you think Trump was perhaps sent by God to do that?
Well, I wouldn't. I don't think that he's a prophet. I think that since he is a Christian himself, I think think that since he believes in God, I feel like that, you know, that's good, obviously. But there are a lot of false prophets out there, as you know, if you believe in God yourself. A lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of people actually obviously think that you have to see something and be proven, you know, that God is real, when all God is faith. And which he is real, that's not what I meant, but he is real. And I think that since Trump believes in God and he's doing right, it is because of his belief in God. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but let me ask you, what makes you, because you're not the only one to suggest that Trump believes in God and things. Do you see Trump as very Christian? I mean, like going to church and things like that. The guy is on video saying he has never even asked God for forgiveness in his entire life. What leads you to believe that he's like really Christian like that?
Well, I mean, some of the things that he's done believes to me that he is Christian. But there are I think somebody has started trying to report me because of some of the things that I said. I'm sorry.
You didn't say anything here that would. I don't think you said anything. Go ahead.
Well, it said on my screen somebody tried to report me like there was a violation, so I apologize for interrupting you.
Well, if you want to, listen, I would never, I don't see where you said anything that's concerning, but if you want to limit the conversation, you can drop out. But I do want to ask you a few other questions if you don't mind staying. Either way, if you want to, because some folks do get to be idiots and you'll get that warning. I normally will see it on this side as well, and I have not seen anything come through here for you. But when you talk about Trump's Christian, say that again.
It probably was my kid. I'm sorry. It probably was my kid because she started talking on the live, and I keep telling her to be quiet and to listen. So yes, I want to stay though, and you can ask me as many questions as you like, and I'll just give you my opinion. Of course, whether you agree or don't, I hope you agree. But if you don't, that's fine as well.
Well, I do appreciate that. So I'll start out, and I asked you earlier, if Trump is as great at running the country as you stated, why are so many people against him? And you mentioned the media. Now, we know currently Nikki Haley remains his only competitor, and he's referring to her as bird brain in a number of circles. They did remove her, and I don't know why, but now I just got notified that Christian, my last caller, was dropped. I don't know why that happened, but Christian, I invite you back to the program anytime. File an appeal. I don't see where you said anything other than there were probably some folks in the comments that did not like what they are hearing you say. And we get folks like that. It really pisses me off because it makes the program difficult to maintain. Not only when you got idiots in the comments that are doing things like that, but also when TikTok allows it to happen. Usually when you file an appeal, TikTok will correct it. It happens to me quite often, in 5 minutes or so I'm back on the program, but I really hate when folks do that. Looking in the comments, she has the right to speak. Yeah, I agree with that, Edwin in the comments. 100% agree with that. 100%. You're not going to change anybody's hearts or mind by silencing them. In fact, that makes people feel like they're actually on to something. When they start stating their opinion, if you disagree with it, have a conversation. But when you start trying to censor, block, and ban people, that makes them feel even more stronger in their opinion because I must be on to something if you don't want me to talk. So we don't do that here. Understand that regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, whether you agree or disagree with the host, nobody gives a damn. We always preserve free speech here. And I will take this time to say that if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, follow the program. We're here Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. So if you enjoy civilized talk from both sides, yeah, you're in the right place. Looking in the comments, why attack when we have voices? Well said. I agree 100%, Ronnie. How long have Republicans been crying for border crisis? Years. Years. They have the House. Do something. It's a great point. Biden 2024, second term, best one. That's a long name. But you are correct. The Republicans have control of the House. And as opposed to trying to do something at the border, I believe, and I think most do, that they're presenting a stalemate to let things remain chaotic for Biden in hopes of strengthening a Trump second run at the White House. Going back to the box, and I hate that my last caller got dropped. I don't like when folks do that here, but I can't control the audience, goddammit. Going back to the box, unapologetic black man. Appreciate you holding. Welcome to the program. Unapologetic. Good afternoon.
Jerry.
May he rest in peace.
I love the show, man.
Thank you. So I saw you wanted to get on after one of my other callers. What was the concern?
What wasn't the concern with any of these MAGA fanatics? I remember 3 years ago, I let you hear a video. Can I play it really quick? It's only like a couple of seconds.
If it's not very long, go ahead.
January 6th, everybody's saying that Trump didn't have the power, but this is September 9th, 2020, when he spoke with Judge Janine on the White House lawn. So I want everybody to hear this. This is what Trump thought about an insurrection.
What are you going to do? Let's say there are threats. They say that they're going to threaten riots if they lose on election night, assuming we get a winner on election night. What are you going to do?
We'll put them down very quickly if they do that. We have the right to do that. We have the power to do that if we want. Look, it's called insurrection. We just send in and we do it very easy. I mean, it's very easy. I'd rather not do that because there's no reason for it. But if we had to, we'd do that and put it down within minutes.
Wow! Wow! Holy shit!
BLM and Antifa and anybody that's stopping his win, he said he'll stop it in minutes.
Wow!
I let everybody hear this 3 years ago. Selective memory, people. Come on. That's why I don't take them serious. I can't take MAGA supporters seriously, man. Their memories are shot.
I gotta say, I never heard that. I have never heard that clip. That was really enlightening. Wow. Shit. Okay, all right, fair enough. So, but what about Trump stating that, what about folks who stand with Texas? Do you think what Texas is doing is right, though?
What gets me about Texas is for 3 years we've heard all the exaggerations and inflations of the numbers coming across the border. They want to inflate the getaway numbers. And then when all that's proven wrong and we all find out for 3 years that Republicans have been denying request funds, bills, and legislation regarding protecting Texas border, now everybody's fine with just being disgustingly inhumane. They're fine with wires. They're fine with unaliving people climbing over it, which is they don't even have to climb over. It's a gate, people. It's not a wall. He built a damn gate. You can slide your kids through it. And then again, our border CBP and our border patrol agents have already stated that people climbing over a wall is not the problem. Do y'all understand that tunnels, submarines, and drones now can carry people over a damn gate? AI is our biggest problem at the borders. Also, why do y'all think that y'all think Texas is the only border state? What about Arizona, California, New Mexico? Why they aren't bitching about? Because it's an exaggeration. People stop with the selective memory. That's all I'm getting tired of. People just with the selective memory, we don't forget that the border has always been a problem, and our coastal borders have always been more of a problem than just Texas.
So at the end of the day, do you believe that Biden is doing a good job at the border?
Well, no president is going to do a good job at the border until we actually listen to our border patrols. Like I said, 48% of the problem, what the CBP has put out is AI. They need advanced technology, people. For getaways, we need better cameras. We need better drones. Cartel have better drones than us right now. We have to have better intel on submarines. Y'all forget that. Cartel have...
Wait, hold on. So just to get clarity, so what you're basically saying is that when it comes to Trump and Biden, neither one of them is any better at defending the border than the other.
No, I don't blame Trump for the border either. I was just saying that it was a ridiculous idea to put a gate there with actual fucking holes that you could slide right through. That's all I mean.
But you do realize, yeah, but you do realize, and even though Trump has a lot of folks that are detractors of him, you do realize there are far more Americans that believe Trump is better at border security than Biden. Why do you think that is?
I mean, let's just be real. It's racism. Nobody has a problem. Once again, like I said, our coastal borders are a bigger problem. When it's white people coming from Ukraine, you remember they had a problem with that for about 2.5 seconds? I bet you can't ask any conservative how many Ukrainians have coming over here, how many Europeans have coming over here since the war. People don't know people are fleeing even from Poland just because they're scared that they might cross over. There's plenty of Middle Eastern and North African that come over here until I think 2006. They had to put on their application they were white. Like, nobody had a problem when there's hierarchy and people coming over from Europe. They don't have a problem with Australia, Japan.
Yeah, now when you say that, you're obviously drawing ire from the audience. Now, in the comments, for instance, Texas Now said, stop it with the race card. Cindy said, racism, please stop. Why do you see so many folks, why do you believe so many folks on the right think that the racism claims that suggesting MAGA's racist is ridiculous? Why do you think they see it so differently than you?
Again, America has a comprehension problem. I literally just said it. You have no problem when immigrants are coming over here and they're white. You don't have a problem when they're Japan. You don't have a problem when they're Korean or Chinese or Australian or New Zealand. You never have a problem with it when they're refugees from European countries. Like I just said, they don't have any number of the Ukrainians that's still coming over here. But again, when they're brown and black, now we have to put up barbed wire.
Let me present it this way.
With Haitian, and on top of that, can we stop forgetting that America destabilized these countries? Like, we're just gonna fast forward past that part and say, why the hell are these people coming over? I'm gonna go to the damn country that destabilized my country too. Yes, I'm gonna pass Venezuela. Where the hell I'm gonna go work in Venezuela at another gym shoe factory that was in my country? Stop in Mexico and work where? God damn it, do y'all understand they're coming to where the best economy is? The country that destabilized their country. Why the hell would I stop in Chile and do what? Pick and just stand in line and try to pick beans and hope I'm the first 1,000. Come on, people. Just common sense. We have to use our common sense. Stop it. And again, like I said, if that's not racist, because you don't have a problem with women like Melania coming over by the hundreds of thousands, none of them speak English.
All right. Before I let you go, though, when you talk about the racism claims that many of my audience...
Don't let me go. You let all these MAGA speak for 15 minutes.
Well, I do got one other question for you before... You mentioned the racism claims. Now, you're talking about MAGA and Republicans, but what about the leader? You don't see this coming from Trump, do you?
I mean, Trump has had his history. We all got to remember that our parents, that's why a lot of people say, oh, racism disappeared. You're a damn lot from our parents to us. Where did it disappear to? At the Piggly Wiggly or some shit? It's all at Cracker Barrel or some shit? Like, racism didn't disappear. It's only one generation, people. People have to remember Ruby Bridges is my mother's age. Like, these are things, like you said, until people like, not our parents, until people like us, because we remember things too when we went down south, until people like us die off, you're not going to have racism disappear. And with Trump, I'm going to say that, again, if Trump wasn't racist, then we'll see pictures with him with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Y'all got to remember, Trump was 20 years old when Martin Luther King was marching. If Trump wasn't so damn racist and he did so much for black people, why wasn't he marching with us like Bernie Sanders? I mean, it's just a simple question. Come on now.
But folks, but wait a minute. Folks say that Trump did more for black people than anybody else. Are you saying that's not true?
Yeah, instead of walk. Yeah, I'm saying it's not true. You telling me his bone spurs, he couldn't walk with us? He couldn't march with us? Trump was a billionaire when Martin Luther King was alive. If he wanted to help black people, he could have made a very big impact then. But instead, he used his influence to talk about, the Central Five. To talk about people like, look who he rubbed elbows with. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. Oh, he's not racist because he rubbed elbows with Jesse. Jesse Jackson got Martin Luther King killed. You don't want us to don't start.
What? Wait a minute. Wait. You sound like Cat Williams. Wait, hold on. Jesse Jackson got Martin Luther King. It sound like Cat Williams now. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Jesse Jackson, because you can't rub elbows with people that you know had involvement in unaliving one of the most influential black men in history. You don't get to rub elbows with people. That's why people say Trump is racist. You don't get to say Proud Boys stand, but after saying you don't know the Proud Boys, but then when they mention the Proud Boys, now you're like, hey, stand back. And guess who didn't stand back on January 6th? The damn Proud. They was the first ones through the damn door. So again, you rub elbows with racists, we're gonna call you a racist. It is what it is.
All right. All right, unapologetic. Your name Vincent.
What's his name? I just want to say one thing before we get. You remember when Trump? Because I remember 3 years ago, me and you were talking, and I told you all this was gonna come down. I told you the house was just a cup of red Kool-Aid. You remember that? Remember the red wave they thought? I said it was a cup of Kool-Aid, and I said they was gonna play Game of Thrones with the house, which we're watching. And I told you they were gonna do whatever Trump says to get him back in, regardless of the old people polls they're going off of. And we're watching it all fall out.
Sound to me like you screaming Nikki Haley 2024. Am I hearing you correct?
You talking about Nimrata? You think I'm gonna vote for somebody that's ashamed of her own family for the Republican Party? And then look what they did to her when she actually wants to talk about her lineage, her heritage, her family, want to be proud of herself. You can't go back after you check that white tea box. You can't go back.
Wait, once you go, wait, hold on. Once you go white, you can't go back. That don't even rhyme. What are you talking about?
You can't think about it. How many times have people tried to check that white tea box, and then when they try to talk, like look at Rafael Cruz. Every time he tries to talk about his lineage, they tell him to shut up. Nimrata now. It doesn't matter.
What box did Tim Scott check? He looks black to me.
Tim Scott wants to check that I love you box. That's the only box he want to check. But you know how black men that think they're conservative now, they don't understand the meaning of black conservative. Because like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, those were black conservatives. Like right now, you think people like Louis Farrakhan? He's a real black conservative. He's about traditional family. He's about sticking with black women, even though he can have 13 of them, but still, they're about conserving black families, black neighborhoods, feeding their own, sheltering their own. And again, black conservatives, we have to remember, they used to call white people devils. So this new black conservative crave, like Tim Scott and them, it started with Clarence. Remember, he was honest. He was like, I'm not a conservative, I'm an uppity Negro. Remember that? He was like, I'm a black Republican, I'm an uppity Negro.
I do remember that.
Black conservative crap. This is new. You guys you can't say I'm a black conservative and then bump Trump out the way and say, I love you. That's not.
I gotta go. Appreciate it. Tim Scott thing.
You know, it's always a pleasure.
Absolute. Same. The Tim Scott moment will be comical for a long time. Yeah, Tim Scott, that's a good one to throw out there because it's comedy. Real quick, what are the Dems doing for the black community? Have the schools gotten better in pork? Well, that's a good question. Who asked that? Can't read the name or what's up or whatever it says. In regards to what have the Dems done for the black community, I would submit everything that we would criticize the Dems for not doing for the black community. They're not going to get much support for that stuff from Republicans either. I mean, we know that on the right, there's no love for social programs. You mentioned schools. That's what it's going to take. It's funding. Folks on the right are not a fan of that. I'm not here to defend the left, but I will point out the issues you're mentioning are not going to be solved by the right. So just want to throw that out at you. Black community, you should say Afro-American. All right, fair enough. The Dems in the black community is at the local and state levels. What do you mean, in politics? I don't quite get that. They increased ungodliness for sure. Look, I grew up in the church, used to be there every Sunday. I'm not very religious at all now. And the issue I have is I get the morality of religion, but there is also another element we don't talk about, which is all of the judgmental things. Like they say, bring religion in schools. This stuff doesn't work in a diverse environment. I think that religion works far better in environments where everybody is alike. I mean, I'm not bringing it up from a racial aspect, but it does work. If you live in a white town where everybody straight, Christian, it fits better. But if you live in a town where there are males that are gay, there's transgender, there's Muslims, there's Jehovah, it doesn't work well. Which is why there's a different mindset for folks who live in rural areas compared to the city. You're not dealing with different people from various cultures. Religion doesn't work very well in diverse cultures because most religions teach you that your leader, your Lord, is the one and true only God, or Allah, or whatever else it is. But beware of false prophets. Thou shalt have no other God before me. That doesn't work when everybody has all these different beliefs in a small environment. So I'm a little bit torn on the religion thing. I don't think that it works very well unless you're living, smaller areas where everybody has the same mindset. Going back to the box, though, we will continue on with, oops, I didn't mean to hit that, but Andy, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Always a pleasure. So $83 million, $83.3 million coming from Trump. What say you? Andy.
They should be quiet.
Do you think that's too much?
No, because he wouldn't shut up. They gave him every opportunity to be quiet. There's a point when they're begging you to shut your mouth and you just, like he was in the courtroom and the judge did something and he goes, you don't have any self-control, and Trump snapped at him and goes, neither do you, and it showed his lack of control. And the judge just smiled, and I thought that wasn't very smart.
But I had a caller on, I think her name was Christian, a few callers back, who stated that what they're doing to Trump is a hit job because they just don't want the man to be elected again. Is it possible that E. Jean Carroll winning a case against Trump, suggesting that he's liable for assaulting her, is, even though it may not be true, but folks gave her the win because they want to defame Trump and prevent him from becoming president?
Well, I mean, there was a grand jury, there was evidence, there was a regular jury. Trump's lawyer put up a horrible case. I watched it. I mean, he really didn't put up a defense. He thought that she was Marla Maples in the pictures.
Yeah.
She has been saying this happened since it happened. I'm sorry, but they only think it's a hit job of Donald Trump. They haven't done very much investigating into the subject.
Well, here's a comment out of the comment section that's an interesting pushback to what you stated, because you're talking about he wouldn't shut up. Then in the comment says, if he's innocent, he shouldn't be quiet. In other words, if they're railroading him, he should continue speaking up about it.
You don't have, okay, had he not defamed her and like that bullying they like, you can't rip apart somebody's reputation like that and not pay for it.
Yeah.
Trump would sue anybody that did that to him.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
If he thought they looked at him sideways, he would sue them.
Yeah, it's a good point.
He's the most litigious man in history.
But
I want to talk to you about the MAGA truckers heading to the southern border.
I have heard about that. That could be dangerous.
And today I read that South Dakota, Florida, Virginia, and there's one more, governors have all decided to back Texas governor.
It's starting to sound very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the Civil War. This is exactly.
Alabama before they seceded.
Yeah, this is exactly how the Civil War started. Certain states started jumping in and backing different sides. This is exactly how it started.
Do you remember when I told you about my new Constitution? And I don't know if you remember, but I told you, I said, I think this is their way of trying to break the Constitution and start a civil war.
Yes, I do remember you telling me that.
Well, here we are.
Wow. I mean, at the end of the day, though, do you think it's something that could actually happen? I mean, let's say Trump. Trump is calling. Wait, hold on. Trump is calling for you. Hang on a sec, Andy. Trump is calling for unity. If America started heading down the path of a civil war, do you see Trump as stepping in and trying to prevent it?
I don't think he could. I think Greg Abbott has his own ambitions. I don't think Greg Abbott's doing this for Trump's ambitions. I think Greg Abbott's doing this for his ambitions. I mean, he already stole Texas and got away with it.
What do you mean stole
Ken
Texas?
Paxton's not in jail.
What do you
Look
mean?
at all the votes they disenfranchised in Texas, and it was from Harris County, the most Democratic county, and Paxton was tried, and the judge was bribed. I mean, it was out in the open. They didn't even try to hide it.
Wow. So you stand with Biden on this issue. You don't stand with Governor Abbott.
I'm not for inhumane treatment of anyone. And until the 1920s, everybody just walked into this country. How do they think their families got here?
Yeah. But now, let me give you this. This is in the comment section. This is a strong comment. I'm gonna throw it at you. You can take it anywhere you want. I can't see the name there, but he says all these illegals are here to fight us patriots for Biden. In other words, we're letting in an army with an agenda.
So did they say that when Reagan gave amnesty to 2.8 million? No.
Good point.
This is the same border caravan crisis we have every time there's an election, and they don't have any legislation to run on because they can't quit fighting in the House.
Yeah. But do you think Biden is doing a good job at the border, Andy?
I think that if the Republicans would take the money they keep trying to give them and quit trying to ship them around and keep the money that's supposed to go with the immigrants, maybe we'd be a lot better off.
Andy, they don't want the money. They want the folks to be turned around. They don't want them here.
I understand that, and I know that Trump wants to deport everybody. I've read Project 2025. My point is that right now, they're like Greg Abbott and DeSantis are playing games politically to amp up the base by deport. Once they get here, they get their trial date. They move them to a state so far away they can't possibly get back to court. To try to, I mean, it's shady. You either have ethics or you don't. Some being Christian, is that how Jesus told us to treat immigrants? Because I don't think so. I don't think it's how he told us.
I'm going to give you something in response to your statement. Is that how Jesus told us to treat immigrants? Because I made that comment, and I had someone on the right give me a statement in return that I thought was pretty interesting. Because he stated that, look, and I said, what would Jesus do in regards to the border? And he said, listen, even Jesus does not have an open border. In other words, if you don't come in the right way, Jesus will not take you at all. How do you? Because you can't get into heaven. Heaven does not have an open border. You got to come in the right way.
They didn't read the New Testament, and they need to put that Old Testament down, like on the cross, and maybe actually read the love part and the giving and the not condemning, and let he who was without sin cast the first stone, and maybe ease up a little bit.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I've had folks on the program today, though, suggest that if we let people come in without vetting them and things like that, there may be sleeper cells looking to commit acts of terror in this country. Do you worry about that at all?
I don't watch Fox's fear raging. I mean, Fox has done nothing but amp up the fear machine for the last 10 years. I mean, it is good entertainment TV, but it's a little bit more than I can take, because paranoia is the beginning of mental decline. That you can look that up. It's attached to several mental illnesses.
You think it's that bad?
If you always think that somebody's out to get you, maybe you should, go talk to somebody. It wouldn't hurt.
Okay. All right, Andy. Well said. Appreciate you coming in. I do got to move it on.
I do want your response, though. What do you think of the fact that U.S. citizens are taking it upon themselves again to go out and meet the National Guard, who is already clashing with the border because got it, inserted the National Guard because he thinks that he should control international law because it's his border too. But
I told you at the beginning, I mentioned it at the beginning of our conversation. It's the beginning of a secession. That's what it sounds like. You got one state now that has made it openly clear they're not willing to follow the federal government's lead because they don't believe the federal government is acting on their best interest. That's how the Civil War started. And now you're having other states join in and say, you know what, Abbott, I agree with you. They're not doing what's best for our state either. And now the truckers are doing it as well. It sounds like the beginning of that.
You know what would have fixed part of our problem with Mexico?
What?
If we didn't have all those pew-pew shops all the way down the border, because Mexico wants to sue the gun companies because of all of the violence that is happening in Mexico. Because 70% of all of their arms come from us.
I see what you're talking about, but I don't think that has a lot to do with the immigration issue, though. But I get your point. I do got to move it on, though, Angie.
I mean, if the cartels weren't so heavy-handed, then maybe these people wouldn't want to leave. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe. But I think still there would be more opportunities for them here. I still think that you would have a lot of people trying to come in this country because they're not all coming here to escape the cartels. Some of them are coming here because the jobs are here.
I'll give you a fun fact. 80% of the population of the USA lives on the East Coast. The other 20% live on the West Coast. So that means we have places like South Dakota that has a population of 700,000. I mean, we have more jobs than we have people. I think that a lot of the fear that they have about the border is unfounded because most people I know that have come here to work have actually worked into the system. Most of them became legal and even created businesses and hired other people.
Yeah, that's kind of my vision of the ones I've seen as well. Appreciate it, though. I do got to move it on. All right. Looking in the comment section, fear has always controlled the white right. Well, look, I do agree that there's a hell of a lot of fear mongering on the right, but they're not the only ones doing it. Remember 2012, Vice President Biden during the Mitt Romney Obama election? Vice President Biden stating that if you vote Mitt Romney in, he's going to put y'all back in chains. That's fear-mongering. I mean, nobody looks at vanilla Mitt Romney in 2024 and think, yeah, that guy was trying to put people back in chains. That was just fear-mongering. Mitt Romney comes across as damn near one of the good guys to the liberals. So fear-mongering happens on both sides. I do agree that there's plenty of fear-mongering on the right, but it happens on the left as well. Wait, don't skate by the race car, says Texan. No. You want the race card all of a sudden? Oh, look, there's Tim. What did it say? Oh, man, the comment went back up. Oh, look, there's Tim, his hate symbol hat, trying to get more viewers. Says a guy with no actual name, just user and what looks like a social security number following it. User, whatever your name is, feel free to come in the box. I'll let you state your point without any concern of being blocked, banned, or censored. Understand, we allow the people to speak. Even if you're highly critical of the host, there is no concern of being blocked, banned, or censored in any way on this program. I'm all about free speech. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. That's how the program is ran. All right, looking in the comments, that's why we love you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Unfortunately, my sweater makes it so I can't see a lot of the names because they're in gray. The entire system is about perspective. I don't quite understand it. Record new homelessness times 10 right now. Biden doesn't care about us. Trigger warning, you stated that yesterday. And I gave an answer that I'm going to give again today, which is there was homelessness under Trump, just like there is under Biden. But we didn't blame Trump. We blamed the mayors of liberal cities. We blamed the Democratic mayors of blue states. All of a sudden, Biden becomes president, and now it's also the president's responsibility. That's bias. That is being biased. Same thing when Trump was president. often talked about crime in Chicago. Baltimore was a shithole city and things like that. He was blaming the mayors. He was blaming the governor of those states, even blaming Congress folks from those areas. But then Biden becomes president. Now all of a sudden it's the president's fault too. I don't play into the game of we're going to blame the highest liberal. If you believe a liberal president is responsible for high crime rates in cities like Chicago, then when the president becomes Republican, if the crime rate doesn't drop, he's responsible too. Other than if you don't have that mindset, then yeah, you're playing politics. You're being biased. Look at in the comments, Mexican land, America made by Mexico. I think I get where you're coming from, but you would have to elaborate a little bit more. But if you're compounding a problem, you get the blame. It depends on your definition of who's compounding what. It depends on your definition, but I'm just simply saying if you are blaming a governor or blaming a president for crime in liberal cities, it doesn't change when the Republicans win the office. If Biden is responsible for crime in Chicago and Trump becomes president and the crime doesn't drop, then he's responsible too. Otherwise, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Going back to the box, 5, 6, 2. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. What about us poor people? Unfortunately, America's a country that doesn't give a damn about poor people. I think the evidence is everywhere. 562, you're on mute. They will go back to blaming the mayors. Exactly. That's the point I'm making. That's bias. That means that Trump or a Republican can never be blamed for crime in liberal cities. That's being biased. My caller dropped out. Gen X, definitely a friend of the program. Gen Xer, good afternoon. We're talking about E. Jean Carroll, $83.3 million, and do you stand with Texas? Gen X, good afternoon.
What's happening, my brother from another mother? How you been?
I'm doing good. How you feeling? I saw your page. You doing good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm still in the hospital.
Damn.
Still hanging out over here, but I should be going home soon. I hope.
That's a good thing. Godspeed to you. So, going home, I'm assuming you want a peaceful world to come back home to. So are you going to criticize Governor Abbott for his path to a civil war?
Man, I already got my bus ticket to Texas. I'm going where the action is.
So you favor what he's doing?
Actually, that's not a fair question, Tim. I don't favor what he's doing. I favor what is supported by Idaho, Montana, Utah, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, North Dakota, South Dakota, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Iowa, Ohio, Rhode Island. They all support this. I don't necessarily support Texas and Abbott. I support the collective. And right now the collective says that what Joe Biden is doing at the border is wrong. He's not protecting the citizens.
What do you think?
Everybody seems to agree.
So what do you think, in your opinion, what do you think Joe Biden should do to protect our border? What action should he take?
I think he should support Abbott. I think he should 100% support Abbott in his efforts.
Abbott is putting devices in the water that is killing people. You think Biden should do that?
That's not true. That's not true. And that's very disingenuous. That's not true. And even the report that came out that said 3 people drowned because of the devices in the water was not true. And they recanted the statement, CNN, MSNBC, and they had died 3 hours before that the Border Patrol was even notified. So that's not true. Nobody's died as a result of it. Nobody, not one person. I would say the answer is to back it and see if it works. We don't know if we don't back them and maybe it won't work. And if it doesn't, then we revisit it.
Okay, so
but to just play I don't think that's right, man. I think got it back.
Okay, fair enough. And Morris Williamson, thank you for that subscription, first subscription of the day. Appreciate that. Absolute. Thank you for that subscription. So, in regards to busing immigrants to northern cities without any clothes or proper gear, do you support him doing that? He's doing that as well.
You know, as much as I want to say yes, and let me explain this. As much as I want to say yes, because he's dumping them in Democrat cities and the Democrats get a taste of that shit, I'm going to say no, because it's making hardship on Americans. Democrat or Republicans, Democrats are Americans. And if you're making hardships on other Americans, I'm not okay with that. Okay, give them a little taste of it, but now let's draw back. You know what I'm saying? They gave him enough taste of it. We're in Chicago, motherfuckers might be voting for Trump.
Yeah, I've talked to a few. I got some folks in my family that have said exactly what you stated. They've had a taste of it enough that they're considering Trump. So you are correct about that. There's some liberals now that immigration issue is making them look the other way.
Yeah, and a lot of the immigrants are coming, not just from, it used to be a Mexican thing. We're talking Middle East, South America, Venezuela, you know, and they're coming all the way to the United States, and people say, well, they're in trouble. Where else are they going to go? The United States ain't the closest country. If I'm in trouble, I'm going to Canada or Mexico, the closest country, and I'm going to try to get some help. I'm not going to go halfway around the world.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree with that, but I've had several callers up here before you that stated that the way the immigrants are being viewed coming in, certainly folks saying that they're invaders, and you got Trump saying that they're poisoning the blood and calling them vermin and things like that. Folks are suggesting that a lot of this is due to racism. What say you?
I don't. It's not about race. It's about nationality, and there's a difference. It's a pretty unfortunate, tragic thing that's going on right now, Tim.
Do you see it? Do you see it now? Do you see it as an actual invasion?
Well, yeah, of course.
What is an invasion to you?
An invasion is a country of outer origin taking over a land that's not theirs. Much like we did to this country. We invaded the United States. The Europeans did. There's no doubt. I can't argue that. You can't dispute it.
So is it a case of takes one to know one? We know what we've done. When people were nice and let us come to the country, we treated them like shit and took over. So we don't want to be nice because we expect people to come and do the same to us?
Well, now they weren't exactly, I don't know how nice they were. You had a lot of scalping and stuff like that going on.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't as easy, people said, but now can I make you, can I shock you?
The floor is yours.
I hope you're sitting down, and you're probably never going to hear this again as long as you live.
Okay.
I agree 100% with the woman that I would fly here to make a sandwich for me, Andy. I agree with her 100%.
Wow.
Trump should have kept her mouth shut. Trump should have kept his mouth shut, and he brought that shit on himself.
So you're saying the E. Jean Carroll's $83.3 million ruling against Trump is Trump's responsibility because he wouldn't shut the hell up?
That's his own fault.
Wow.
That's his own fault, because even when I was watching that hearing, and you know what's funny, because when Andy said that, I laughed because I was watching when Trump said, you don't know when to shut up, and I'm thinking he's going to say something. Sure enough, he said, neither do you, and I'm like, oh my God, dude.
So you are indeed part of the law-abiding party, even though Trump is not. I mean, he's ridiculing judges and things like that. And it's interesting you bring that up because he is doing that to judges in all of his cases. I mean, literally every one of them. So understand that he lost big in that E. Jean Carroll case. But the Tisha James case, the cases he's dealing with Jack Smith, in all of those cases, he is battering the judges in all of those cases.
Yeah, I think he needs to learn when to, you can't, I agree with free speech, and I think when someone's doing you wrong, you should speak up. But there comes a time when you got to know when to cut your losses, kind of shut your mouth, man, and take your lumps.
Gotta know when it's time to. Gotta know when it's time to take your losses. Shout out to the late Kenny Rogers. I'll give you the last word though.
Here's what killed me about the 84 million. He was only into him for 12 million until he ran his mouth again. They put it back before the jury and they re-awarded.
Wow.
I was like, every time he bumps his gums, they're going to put him back in front of the jury and hit him again. He can't say anything bad about this woman, nothing, because if he does, he's going to be peeling off another 10 mil.
Do you think now with an $83.3 million judgment, do you think he's going to say anything bad about her going forward?
Oh yeah, he'll get up to about 150 before he gets out of game words.
Now,
about 150 million, he'll learn his lesson.
You know, to do something that crazy, you'd almost have to be a bird brain.
Yep. I would concur.
All right, I got to move it on. You know what we got to do. Appreciate you coming through, though. Gen X, stay.
It's my pleasure, man. You have a great weekend, Tim. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, get well, my friend. Hopefully you have a nice ride home. Appreciate it. All right, looking in the comments, because he doesn't think he's going to actually have to pay her. He will have to pay her something. Listen, he's not Giuliani with the Ruby Freeman case. He is not the likes of Alex Jones with the Sandy Hook case. Trump is not going to be able to hide all of his money. He's not going to be able to play broke and avoid paying the $83 million when he's on video saying he has $15 billion. He's going to eventually have to pay her. Now, what makes it more challenging for Trump, and thank you, Lady A50, shout out to you for the heart, thank you very much. What's going to make it particularly challenging for Trump in effort to avoid paying E. Jean Carroll, not only is he bragging about how much money he has, but he's going to try to allegedly file an appeal while continuing to commit the violation. As my last caller and virtually everybody has suggested that he's not going to stop saying bad things about her. You can't file an appeal while constantly doubling and tripling down. It's a waste of time. Now, he does have an attorney, or whatever, the really attractive woman, whatever her name is, but this is why he keeps going through attorneys, is because he's not following advice. How do you get our firm to file an appeal on your behalf while you're on TV actively committing additional violations? Moose, yeah! Thank you for the hat and mustache. So anybody expecting Trump to have any type of success with an appeal is crazy. As my last caller stated, he was only in for $12 million, and then the jury went back because he defamed her a second time. There's nothing to appeal in that case, other than to say, well, maybe she didn't deserve $83 million, maybe it should have been 10, maybe it should have been 20. But E. Jean Carroll's going to get a windfall from Trump. There's no way to avoid that, because he absolutely, I'm going to assume, absolutely defamed her. With any jury you get, I'm going to assume they would absolutely rule that he defamed her, because he started calling her crazy and kooky and all of these other things. And then, of course, she's stating that she's receiving death calls and death threats and all of that. I don't think there's any hope for an appeal other than to simply delay her receiving the windfall. That's about all I see. Looking in the comments, you're welcome. I live and work on the border itself, says Moose. Yeah, shout out to you. Live and work on the border. Are you seeing an influx of crime due to all the immigrants coming in? Moose, feel free to elaborate on that. She won't get one penny, says Vin. I'm confident she's going to get some money. I am absolutely confident. The only way E. Jean Carroll does not get any money is if she dies and it ends up going to her what do you call it, her inheritance or whatever, her descendants. But there will be money from the Trump camp going to the E. Jean Carroll camp. Monies will be paid out because of that. Like, we've been, like my last caller admitted, when you piss off judges, they don't rule in your favor. Like with Rudolph Giuliani, the judge ruled that they could go after his money immediately. That's likely to happen in the Trump case. They're going to make it harder for him to file appeals because he said so many bad things about the judges in the courts. Going back to the box, her lawyer will make sure she gets paid. Yeah, she may not get all of the 83.3 million. I'm with that. But in terms of her not getting a penny, no, she's going to get some money. She's going to get a lot. Even if she gets her hands on 5 million, she's going to get some money. The guy is on TV bragging that he has it. So he can't claim he doesn't. He can't pull an Alex Jones or pull a Rudolph Giuliani and say he's broke. He's on TV bragging about how much money he has. Going back to the box. Not going to get a penny. Yeah, that would be interesting. I definitely don't believe that. Doggy, I don't know what that says, but doggy of lots of dogs. It's a hell of a name. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. We're talking about, do you stand with Texas? Doggy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hey, I think basically about the border and about Trump. Well, Trump's in trouble. Okay. Like
How so? How is Trump in trouble?
Basically, he's in trouble because he's gonna not gonna go to jail or anything like that.
Okay.
But he is gonna get fines and stuff like that. Okay. I mean, he's in trouble financially. He'll end up being in trouble financially, not physically. He's never gonna go to jail.
Okay.
Let's be realistic.
All right.
They're gonna put him in jail.
That's reasonable. That's a reasonable statement.
Okay, and the other thing is, I'm cracking up about your head. It's okay, man. It's because I'm trying to think in history. In history, when has America been great? I mean, let's be realistic. First, the Pilgrims came, killed a whole bunch of Native Americans. Then the British came, killed a whole bunch of Native Americans. Okay, then you had the Civil War, killed a whole bunch of Americans and Mexicans and everything. Okay, then they got slavery, and they brought a whole bunch of slaves over. Okay, so then we had World War I, when they deported a whole bunch of Mexicans back to Mexico when they were already in the U.S. and they were born in the U.S. A whole bunch of Americans that were U.S. citizens got deported back to Mexico. Then you got California, Stockton. Stockton was a senator in California who actually made a whole bunch of genocide against Native people in California. And that was in the 1920s and 1930s. And a lot of people forget about that. This country is built on history of destroying other countries.
Yeah. No disagreement. No disagreement. Well, when you ask the question of when America's been great, I always say it depends on what your definition of great and what you're talking about. For instance, a lot of folks think it was great when Christianity was more prevalent in our society. That may be what they're going on, or the nuclear family, 2-parent households. For them, that's what. Now, if you look at somebody like myself, it's never been great for people that look like me. But it depends on what you consider as great about the country. You know, when we defeated Germany and Japan in World War II. Some folks thought that was a great time of unity in this country. But just overall, I'm going to agree with you. It's never been great from that aspect. Doggy,
the other thing is about the border. Okay, I'll give you a quick thing. Okay.
Okay.
You look at the first three countries that went to outer space: U.S., Russia, Mexico. Facts.
Mexico.
Facts. Okay.
Mexico. Didn't know that.
Mexico was the third country that went to outer space. Not to the moon, not to anything, just to outer space. Okay, no, let's not get it twisted. It just went to outer space. That means it has ballistic missiles. Okay, because when you go out to outer space, you can send missiles to any part of the world.
Right.
Okay, that's facts. Mexico has nuclear power plants. What do you think? We only have nuclear power plants? Give you a heads up. Project Bella in Mexico.
So why won't Mexico?
South Africa.
So why won't Mexico get its border under control then if it's so great? Because a lot of the folks that are coming into America are using Mexico as a thoroughfare.
basically Mexico does not want to stop anybody going into the border because they get paid. Either Democrats or Republicans get paid. We get paid, man.
No, I'm asking you. No,
so it makes it a political statement for like let's say we want a politicized immigration. Let's pay a few million dollars.
Hold on. I asked you, why does Mexico not control its borders? You said because Democrats and Republicans get paid. What does that got to do with Mexico?
No, they pay Mexican government money so they can let them go through.
So you believe people in this country? You believe people in this country?
Yeah, it's because you need conflict to for your party. If let's say the Republicans, let's say okay, we're gonna create a situation down south so we can politicize this issue.
Do you have any evidence? Where's your evidence? What is your evidence of this?
I used to work for the Department of Defense 10 and a half years.
Okay. All right. So we're paying Mexico not to secure its borders. You realize how
everywhere.
Yeah, but do you realize how dangerous that is for Mexico to let people roam through their country unvetted as well?
Oh no, it's dangerous. That's why we have cartels.
My God.
I mean, let's not try to minimize it. Okay, it's something that happens to every country. Ukraine, 2000, I believe it was 14. I was over there in Ukraine. Okay, we ousted the president that was democratically elected, and he was with Russia, and we ousted him. We made riots, and we ousted him, and now the Ukraine thing is going on because we ousted the president, and the U.S. says, why are you meddling in the Ukraine? The U.S. meddles the Ukraine first.
So then let me ask you, based on what you're saying, if corruption is at that level, is it safe to say that you also stand with Texas Governor Greg Abbott in securing our border?
No, I don't stand with him because I'm native. Okay? I should have the right to go anywhere in this country. In the U.S. and Mexico, I'm a native.
So you support
I could go anywhere.
So you support open borders?
Yes.
Whoa.
If you have open borders and you give people papers, you have more income. You have taxes. You could charge people taxes. Of course, you don't want criminals to come into the country, so you bent them. It's very easy.
No, it's not. How can you hold on? How can you vent somebody coming from Venezuela when there is no government in place in Venezuela to even check their background? How do you vent them?
Well, it's very simple. You vent them by letting them stay a certain amount of time with a tag on their foot. That's what they use for prisoners in the U.S. They put a tag on their foot and they can track them.
So what you want to do is let them stay, but put like a ankle monitor on them?
Yeah, I mean, there's no issue. There's nothing wrong with them. If you put an ankle monitor on somebody, you know if they're stealing, you know if they're doing something illegal, you'll find out everything about them.
Wow, that sounds like that sounds like you're treating them like a prisoner. You would support that?
And I would support it if they get their freedom at the end.
Well, there's not guaranteed freedom at the end. There may be freedom at the end, but while they're coming,
yeah, if they're doing something wrong, yeah, they shouldn't be free. But if they're not doing anything wrong, why not?
Wow,
as long as they pay their taxes, as long as they pay everything. Why not?
But wouldn't that...
You'll get more taxes, you'll get more income.
Yeah, but wouldn't that lead to immigrants being wrongfully profiled? I mean, let's say you're walking down the street or you're applying for a job. Hold on, hang on a second. But let's say you're trying to do something in society and people notice you got an ankle monitor on you. Don't you think that may lead to negative outcomes because this person's got a monitor on them?
They're already doing it, man. It doesn't matter because they're already doing it to inmates. They're doing it to everybody. They're doing it to us, minorities. You get pulled over, I guarantee you, if you don't have your both hands on the steering wheel, they're gonna shoot you. Just like they'll shoot me.
I don't know about the ankle monitor, man. I gotta say that sounds pretty harsh, but I do agree people do get profiled. But to me, you're adding on to it. When you say, well, they're already doing it, so let's just do more of it. I don't know if I favor that.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's an opinion. Everybody has an opinion, like everybody has other things, you know.
That is true. So you don't agree though that they're not Trump's statement. They're not sending us their best and brightest. They're sending us their rapists and murderers. How do you take a statement like that?
It's just like they say, okay, so what did England do to the U.S. when they sent all the people? Did they send the best and brightest to the U.S.?
No.
To the New World?
Yeah.
I mean, or were they prisoner colonies? What were they?
Good point. Australia was formed on penal. Australia was formed as a penal colony entirely. So you make a good point. All right, doggy. I do got to move it on though. This is the first time talking.
All right, man. I gotta let you go. I'm cutting out.
All right. Yeah. I think we got. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Looking.
I'm cutting out, so I'll let you go.
Okay. Fair enough. You too. Good conversation. Looking in the comments, if I can get the thing to work right. Something's happening here. Okay. Let's try it now. All right. Democrats will be the destruction of this country. That's kind of harsh. Democrats will be the destruction of this country in what way? Now, doggy, the last caller dropped. I don't know if your side, because it's showing my last caller still on there. I got to get that to clear before we move it on. But if my last caller, if you are, because he must have had a bad connection, or I did, or one or the other. Look it in the comments real quick, though. Yeah, I don't. The claim that Democrats will be the destruction of the country. What is that? What is that based on? Destruction of the country? How? I mean, you think what's going on at the border alone will destroy the entire nation? I see folks are saying it's lagging. So, all right, fair enough. If the program is lagging, we'll go ahead and I do appreciate you folks. 120,000 likes. Always a pleasure having you here. You could be anywhere you want to be this Saturday, so it always is a pleasure having you folks here. Nevertheless, the program has seemed to have been frozen up, so we'll go ahead and discontinue it. But for you folks who stand with Texas, we'll have more to talk about on Monday's show. See you later. You too. I do appreciate you folks here as well. We had an issue toward the end. So we went ahead and suspended the program. Working on YouTube, I see that she's not that attractive. Who were you referring to? All praises to you. Texas ain't strong. I'm from Texas, weak state. Yikes! Texas is. What do you mean Texas is not strong? I don't know if I'd agree with that. Catch you guys later. Appreciate you tuning in.